Woohoo! All right. It's your pal, it's your buddy, it's your friend, it's David Wilcock. And this is The Power of the Positive. Welcome to the show. Very happy to be here with you today. It's going to be a lot of fun here because our focus is on making sure that we actualize and activate the positive in our own lives. I mean, that's where everything needs to go right now, in my opinion. It's a very good time to be here. There's so much going on. Either he's crazy or we are all living in a psychiatric bubble, says Special Emissary. He's skinny again. Yes, I am skinny. I guess, thank you for noticing. Silver, you told us to buy it months ago and it is up. Ron just donated, or Cosmin 1730 is our first donation. $4.99. Ron's, thank you very much. Midnight Mark, the man returns. David, you're looking delightfully dapper, my divine sir. If I could have moderated that demonic wind, I would have. Thank you very much. Yes, and everybody says I'm looking great. Hello, David. We missed you last week. You need your lights turned up. Oh, that's right. One of the lights is not on. Thank you. You're absolutely right. I don't know how that happened, but we'll fix it. Here we go. There we go. See, you guys are on the ball even more than I am. It was more comfortable to have the lights down like that, but yeah, that looks way better. Oh my gosh, totally way better. Okay, so we're good. Thank you guys for noticing that. Beverly Adams just donated $10. No, I am not on Ozempic. 2012, David Wilcock was incredible information and knowledge. We're already at 882 concurrent viewers. And we've got $20 donation from Best Tim Wizards. Pretty much if you donate, unless you say something really trolly or crazy, I'll give you the shout out and you'll get to be part of the show. So the donations also really help us. Yeah, it's been quite a wild ride here, folks. We've had quite a wild ride. And never before have I needed to focus so much on the power of the positive. Oh my goodness, we had RW Phoenix donate $222. That is a huge gift to all of us. Keeps the show on the air. He says, thank you for all that you do. You are a bright light in a world gone astray. Peace and love. Thank you very much. And we're already up to 1,085 concurrent viewers. I wasn't sure what was going on. The views on our X post were a little low this week. I guess everybody's doing their holiday stuff. So I'm really glad that right off the rip in the first 5 minutes, we're already at over almost 1,100 viewers. So, anyway, yeah, it's a great time to be here. And there are so many assaults being made on your positivity right now. There is so much going on in the news that is so intense and so upsetting. We're going to talk about rumblings of World War III. We're going to talk about 3i Atlas. We're going to talk about the AI menace and how Australia just said that if you're 14 or under, you're no longer able to use social media. They believe that much of an effect on children. And then the next thing you know, right after they do that, there's this horrible shooting in Bondi Beach. We pray for the victims of both mass shootings last night and for their families and for all others affected by this. It's very sad right now, all this crazy stuff going on. But you know what? That's part of the game. And so Michigan is keeping up with your snowfall. Roger Zubarik just donated. He's one of our favorite guys. He says, thanks for being here again. He donated $20. Thank you, Roger, very much. Hi, what's going on? Well, a lot of stuff is going on. The world is definitely in a precarious place. And if you live in America, especially east of the Rockies, then you're going through the polar vortex phenomenon. I have had quite the week, you guys. Honestly, going through the snow and going through the cold and the wind. We had massive power outages. We're going to get through all that. 3 days without power. I had to go to bed in the middle of the night with, no power. How does the stream look, by the way? It looks to me like it's pretty weak. But you guys seeing it okay? Let's just hear what you're saying, because to me it looks very, very weak. I'm not sure why that's happening. You guys see it like it looks normal to you? Okay, looks good. Okay, great. So that's just my preview window. You guys aren't getting that fuzziness that I'm seeing in the preview window. Everything looks good. Okay. Oh my gosh. Missy O. Kiemi says, David, my son passed away unexpectedly yesterday. I'm devastated. I'm tuning in because I find your content comforting. We are very sorry. We pray for your son, Missy O. And anyway, so far so good. Somebody said the video is off a bit, but everybody else says it looks normal, looks okay. The stream is fine. Glad to hear that. It looks a little dark to me. Okay, fine, good. So yeah, this is definitely a time for us to activate the power of positive thinking. And one of the main, we're going to have a thesis in this show. And the thesis is the idea that the universe promotes positivity, that's what it's built to do. It's actually built to be spring-loaded for your own ascension, for your own enlightenment. And we're going to talk about several different ways in which that shows up. It shows up on a DNA level. It shows up with the meditation effect, or the so-called Maharishi effect. And it shows up in the way that our lives are lived. So I want you right now with me to just close your eyes. Oh, we had a donation, Little Tiny Joe won. Hi, David, inner peace to you and us all. Namaste. $50 donation. Woo! Close your eyes a little bit, and let's just focus on the moment of stillness, the moment of positivity that comes to us when we recognize how blessed we are to be here today, that we have this family gathers together on Sundays. Let's just focus on the love that we all share. Focus on the harmony that is possible with the open heart, the relaxed mind, and just knowing how wonderful it is to be here today, that we're all part of this grand cosmic awakening that's taking place on Earth. And we're grateful to be here. We're grateful to have this time to share, to be together. Let's not waste it. Enjoy that moment. Enjoy that stillness. And recognize the peace that is already within you, the oasis of comfort that is waiting to be discovered as you tune deeply within and find that place of stillness within you, that center of peace. The power of positivity is not a joke. We are going to explore that today. And feel that positivity right now. Because these are the rules of the universe. As you do this, as you tune into the positivity, you are actualizing it in real time. You are making it a part of yourself like never before. You tune in, you feel that grace, you feel that warmth, you feel that resonance. And it's so nice. So nice to simply be in the now, to be a part of what we're doing here together today. And so it is. Amen. Can you guys hear this okay? Yes, everybody seems to be able to hear it. Everything looks good on my gauges over here. So yes, let's come on back. Once you see the other side of the veil, you can't unsee it. It says Wade Woodruff. Gerald Melby says, David, you are an amazing person. Thank you for so much inspiration. Oh my goodness. LCVK3GD donated $200 and says, Merry Christmas. That is so awesome. Rocking my new Pulsetto vagus nerve stimulator I got about an hour ago. Do I really want to know what? I don't know exactly what that means. I hope it's clean, but anyway. Okay, well, rock the nerve stimulator. We're at 1,460 concurrent viewers right off the rip. That is amazing. Thank you guys for showing up. We are going to do some Law of One today. I don't have any new Michael prophecies yet. We got really messed up with all the craziness that's going on. But I want you to be clear about the fact that positivity is something that the universe is built to endorse. We are not stuck in a cause and effect universe where we're no longer able to be protected. And guys, again, thank you so much for the donations. Keep those donations coming. It really makes a huge difference for us here on the show. It helps me pay the bills. We're already almost at $550, and we're only a few minutes in, so that is fantastic. Anything you can do to help me out there is really great. Hit the thumbs up for David. He is always at risk for his life. Come on, man. That's right. Scarlet Fire says great connection. So yes, this is definitely risky. I talk about things that are edgy and controversial, but what's so controversial about being positive? Well, there are forces that don't want you to feel that way. And Sunny Skies, thank you for dropping that. You can also, anybody that wants to, can certainly use that link. And that is something that goes 100% over to our side. But either way is fine. We love it if you do anything. So thank you very much. Arizona is having beautiful weather right now, says Chris Kringle. Well, it wasn't that way here. And again, the power of positivity is a very important concept because I'm going to make an argument that the universe is designed this way on a holographic quantum level, that at the quantum level itself, the universe is conspiring to give you positive feedback when you do positive things. And this is also going to tie into the hero's journey. It's going to tie into the idea of the hero's journey being a cosmic DNA blueprint that we all have for soul evolution. And so as you go through those changes in yourself, as you go through these awakenings and you learn more and more about who you really are, you are on that hero's journey. You are the awakening hero, having this quest that defines your life. We had another donation, Snort 5203. And I know the number is just being assigned everybody now at the end for the most part. Hopefully you will have a wonderful holiday and an even better new year. And then he said the second thing again. So thank you very much, Snort. And Sunny Skies says, Snort, thank you. You are always so generous. Nothing can stop what is coming, says Kick Dreaming. As you sow, so shall you reap. And Audio just donated and said, will Audi, BMW, Volkswagen, GM eventually buy or be given patents for anti-gravity? I do believe so. I think we're going to get to that point sooner than you think. And the world is definitely going in a new direction. So Midnight Mark is on it. Woo! It was already held for review. And so, boom, we got that. Thank you, Midnight Mark. We have great moderators here. It's almost impossible now for people to troll me on the show, and it's free, and I really needed that. So thank you guys very much. David Jones says, I love you more than Elvis. I've been watching for decades. All right, so we're at 1,700 viewers now. It's cranking up really fast. It is not true that if you give positive, you get positivity. You get what you are ready for. Life in the universe gives you what you're ready for, says Cody Alonso. Well, that's a belief. And I, have different beliefs. I believe that by intending, using the power of your intention and focusing on the positive, even when it doesn't seem likely that the positive is going to happen, you can still turn things around. And that's so important because, again, your senses are under assault right now. I get that. It's a very hard time to be alive. Jacob Schurer says, I have lived many lifetimes and gained many experiences. He donated. Sunflower Heart donated, says, Merry Christmas. That's right. Jeshua is here. We love you, dear Jeshua, says Healing Through Energy. Ross Feinstein says, let's just be clear. Vagus nerve stimulation is incredibly beneficial. LOL. David, you have to look it up. Okay, I'm not letting this go, he says. All right. Yes, we are going to be talking about the Alliance to some degree today and what they're up to, so that's definitely part of the show. Master Kenobi, David, I believe we can tap into different timelines, learning to regulate our vibes. May the Force be with us. That's right. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. David Savage says that today is Feast of St. John of the Cross. Yeah, he's an important figure. He was the one that really debuted the concept of pure consciousness that is related to the meditation effect. Doctor of the Church and patron saint of mystics, contemplatives, and Spanish poets, and Roasted Chestnuts Day, and Christmas Bird Count Week. Okay. Charlie Winter donated, says, how close do you think med beds are to, we got all these coming in here for public use, stay safe in the mountains. Yeah, we got more wind coming up this week, and it's scary as hell. But I think med beds are very close. I think we're definitely going to get a lot more things. Jacob Schur says, skills and much wisdom. JDub7717 donated as well. They are just flying in, folks, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for supporting this work. Love you, David. God bless you. All right. I don't want you to feel afraid. I know there's a lot of things out there that are competing for you and for your attention that way, and that's something we don't want to keep on experiencing. We want to get beyond the sense of limitation. When you actualize the power of the positive everything starts to change. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here with me today. It really means the world to me that you showed up, that you're part of our chat here. Beverly Adams says, we are the med beds. Wonderful, wonderful. Love. Angel number 1111 says Wade Woodruff. I just pulled a crystal out behind my ear like you had in your eye, says Jason Brain. Are there numbers behind my name, says Andrea Skolov. Yes, everybody's getting numbers now. So yes, the point is there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. I don't want you to lose track of that because you can get easily distracted. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I genuinely appreciate your trust, love, and support. The world has never been scarier than it is now. That's something that I think is, we got rumblings of World War III. We're going to talk about that a little bit, talk about all these things. And it's also happening on the personal level for everybody. We're getting assaulted on the personal level in many different ways. And that can be very challenging. So in these times, remember the power of the present moment. Remember to tune into your center. Remember to focus on the power of the positive. Because again, nobody else is going to do this for you necessarily. You can't guarantee that the people around you are going to feel positively. They may get captivated by negativity, and it's going to be up to you to be the inspiration to others. It's going to be up to you to raise the vibration, to lift people, to elevate them into a higher consciousness. David, does this chaos attack us physically? It can. I mean, I think it's a physical attack when you're getting all this cold weather, and so many people in the eastern part of the United States are going through incredibly cold weather right now. It's like, wow. So it's a big challenge to stay positive, and I get that. But when you learn how to do that, when you learn how to stay positive, you're actually harnessing the power of the universe. The universe itself has, on the very energetic level, the ability and the imprimatur, the legal right, the legal stamp to actually be a positive force in your life. You activate trust, you activate faith by believing in this power, by using this power for your own benefit. And once you do that, man, everything starts to open up. So this is not a joke. This is really the way it works. The universe is conspiring for your own higher good. And let's just tune into that for a second. Let's just relax a little bit and feel better about the fact that, yes, this is what's happening. We are all going in a positive direction. And you may not always be able to see that, but it is happening. So I want you to really tune into that and just give yourself that gift of the trust that comes from knowing who and what you are. Because I'll tell you what, it makes a big, big difference, everybody. It really, really does. Stephen Brixey just donated, said they may have your name and number, but they still cannot stop what is coming. That's right. There was this, Linda Kiesling says there's a central voice in all people. Stay close to its positive message. Absolutely. So here right now also donated. Sorry, I missed that one. Don't be scared, be prepared, said Mama Sankili. All right. Jesus said he will do all that he did and more, says Beverly Adams. God, please protect David. Tap the like button. That's right. You don't have to smash it. You can just tap it lightly. That'll work good too. Whatever works for you, we're happy to see that. Okay, here's another one. Donation right there saying, when do you think 47 will disclose? 2027, hopefully long before then. And then Rob Lee, 7411, says, 33 for thee. All right. Thank you guys very, very much for that. We really appreciate it. Ashtara says, blessed are the peacemakers. We shall inherit sacred Mother Earth. That's right. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Ray Burt says, tippity tap. So anyway, I'm very happy to be here because this is a time where I get to share with you stuff that I already know is true. I don't have to believe this stuff. I know that the positive will work out. I know that things are going to work out. I have had a test of faith, my friends, like you cannot imagine. This past 2 weeks before the last couple of days, we had the worst wind we've ever had up here, this latest polar vortex. It took a while. It didn't hit us right away. How do you stay positive? We'll get to that knuckles deep, but let's just focus on this. So it took me a while to get there, everybody. It wasn't easy. I do apologize about missing last week's show, but this was a profound, life-changing initiation. It absolutely was. So Charlie Winter just donated again. And Echo 2000 also donated. She says, one person holding the space of Christ consciousness is more powerful than hundreds of negative minds. What better time than at Christmas? Love you, David. That's right. And congratulations on Stavati's new division. That's great news, says Echo 2000. That's right. David, earplugs. Well, yeah, you definitely wear earplugs, but this is way beyond. Oh, here right now, one also donated. Your first super chat on a live stream. Thank you very much. We're already at almost $725. So it's coming in. That's good. We really need your help. So again, all those donations are blessings to me and to this work beyond anything you can imagine. Mystifying Mark says, hello, David Wilcock. All right. Hi, David. I always look for your show. I love the good vibes I get from you, regardless of the subject. Yeah, so if the internet and power goes down, don't forget to fill the bathtub. Good advice from David. $5 coming in. It's good for your help. Geraldine Levy donated 100 NOKs and says, it is time and it is now. All right. So yes, I had quite the initiation, you guys. This was a wild, wild situation that I just went through with the weather. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Much of America is enduring polar vortex phenomena. This was the most intense wind we ever had here in my life. The whole sequence dragged on for about 2 weeks, and it was an ordeal, a profound ordeal, unlike anything I've ever been through before. I can honestly say that this has been a life-changing series of events. We had 2 weeks in a row of strong winds almost every day, so sadly I was in no position to do a show last week. But we still have 2,200 of you that have showed up already within the first 20 minutes, so I'm glad that you guys are looking around and seeing if I'm on the air and checking, because apparently, you know, some people were saying they didn't get any notification or whatever. That's fine. We're here now. Everything is good. And anyway, we're happy to be around, and it's all part of the process. Atmospheric rivers are incoming. New Orleans is sinking, and I don't know how to swim. So yeah, there was a lot of challenges to my faith, a lot of challenges to my ability to just stay focused and positive. Beverly Adams said, she donated, if you put up a live chat on the days you can't do a show, we can still donate to you and communicate with the rest of the Sunday family until we see you next time. That is an interesting idea. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but I'll look into that. You look good, says Julia. Grow your hair back, David. Well, we already got a lot of hair, but, you know, lots of interesting things are going on here. So anyway, I was under so much assault, I was in no position to do a show. We had peaks of 37-mile-an-hour average winds as of the previous Friday night, the Friday before last Friday. That was already happening. That is just outrageous, because at that speed already you can get gusts of 70 to 80 mile-an-hour winds, which is really already up in the hurricane range. But a hurricane typically blows through fairly quickly. These winds lasted for days. So this was very, very intense. And unfortunately, we're getting more of it this coming week. It's not going to be as bad as it was, but we are going up to 35 again. So I'm really not that excited about that at all. But you know what? You just stay positive, you stay focused. But I'm going to get into the story about what happened to me, and you're going to hear how wild this was. And Audio donated, and he says right there, you are the Christ consciousness. We are all equals to Jesus. That was his message. I am. You are God. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. I do agree. I mean, it's a fantastic thing when you can activate your own inner Christ and recognize that universal energy is available to you. That positive, loving force is what he was all about. He was teaching us how to be more loving, how to be more peaceful, how to be more positive. David, you are a dude and we always show up, says Laura Smith. Wow, I was going to say that's tropical storm winds. You're darn right. I mean, we had so many trees come down. Once it got up into the 40 range and 45, it even was going up above 45 at times, where the average wind speed got even higher than that. It was so freaking crazy. It was high 20s on Friday, wind into Saturday. I'm going to show you the forecast. And we also had snowfall on Saturday. So this was the first time where I really knew we were in trouble. You can see right there, 37 miles an hour. by 11 p.m. as the snow started to come down. That was scary as hell to me to see that on there. I just could not believe it. So that Saturday, I had to go out there, because that's why I didn't have a show, is I had to go out there and shovel in high wind for safety. And then, you know, when you're out there shoveling in the snow, man, it's blowing in your face. You got snow blowing in your face. It's very intense. But I found it curiously liberating. You know, it's like there's something about going into that struggle against the elements and getting all dressed up and having your warm clothes on and fighting for your survival. It actually, I mean, it's you try to make the best of it when it's so intense. But yeah, it's not going to be the last time this happens. I mean, we're definitely going through some really crazy stuff here. So I expect that this is going to continue and continue and continue. And it's very intense, I have to say. Semantically Eidetic says, I'm going to be honest, I've been through the same experience David is coming out of. He's been a great friend unknowingly. All right. David, you are so lucky to have a solid house. Your logs are tough. Well, yeah, they are, but they weren't tough enough to stop, you know, power outages. If the trees come down, they knock down your power lines, then you're stuck. And so I ended up going through quite a test of faith. Gene Novacek says, don't go out and shovel in high winds, set up windbreaks and keep areas clear. Well, if you still got power, it's okay to go outside. That's what I've been doing. So, you know, it's just very intense. And so I had quite the challenge here. The winds started reaching average highs of 45 miles an hour. That's the average. That's not the surges on Monday and Tuesday, which led to surges of 80 to 90 miles per hour. And this was going on for days at a time, hours at a time, both day and night, which culminated in 3 days of blackouts. And my God, you know, when the wind is that high, you don't even really want to make a fire, even if you could, because you get backdraft and all this smoke backs into the house. So even if you can get the fire to go, you don't really want to. And at the same time, it was so super intense, because just the level of noise volume, even with earplugs in, it's crazy. And the wind blows right through the cracks in the logs, so that the house starts to get cold. You can't keep the house warm enough. It's a pretty intense situation. And, you know, thank you, Mark. That is awesome. And I totally agree on your decision on that one. David needs to move to Arizona, says Project Skyfalls. Yes. But Arizona's hot in the summer, so, you know, everybody's got their own challenges. There's different challenges. But yes, this climate around here where I live now is changing. It's getting more difficult to live here. It's a good idea to check your generator, make sure it will start. You have enough gas to keep it running for several days. Well, that's right. Going outside maintains your body thermal energy regulation, increases your efficiency for being in cold weather, says Semantically Eidetic, and I agree with that. So yeah, there's a lot of good things going on here. And thank you again. The moderators are right on it. And I really appreciate your help there for that. It's just almost impossible for trolls to have a chance anymore, and that's good. So yeah, dude, this is nothing I would wish on my worst enemy. Going through what I went through was so intense. It was so horrific. 3 days of blackouts, which meant that I didn't have a fire, I had no power, I had no heat in the house, and the house ended up cooling off. Now, the logs hold heat for a while. They're really pretty good with radiant heat, you know, because they're so large. They store a lot of radiant heat, but eventually they don't. Eventually they don't have any heat in them anymore, and it becomes a very intense situation. So, wow, that really got me to focus on the power of the positive, because the power company keeps telling you that in less than 2 hours they're going to turn the lights back on, and then they keep delaying it, and it got delayed over and over again. And so you go back to a place of just total faith. The faith, you pray that this is going to work out. We had another donation here, Maggie 192, sending you so much love and light. Be at peace in the light of everlasting love. Thank you very much. Moss Feinstein says, my favorite health drink lately, I call it the Colin McGeezer Mate Mud Latte. It's Earl Grey, matcha, and Shilajit with coconut milk. That's great. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't really have anywhere else to go. I have to stay in this house for the winter. So whatever these kind of things are that are happening, hopefully it's natural phenomena. Hopefully that's all it is. But even still, man, we're going through earth changes, and it's ramping up, and it's making it more challenging across the board. So this is not for the weak. This really changed my life. It brought me to a very deep place of trauma. In some ways, I still am recovering from it, but I said, you know what? Today is good. We got sunlight outside. I want to make a good show for you guys and get out here on the air and celebrate the positive, because, any moment that you can be in that light, in that positivity, in that love is a good moment. It's a time to be grateful. It's a time to be happy that you're alive and not just stuck in this horrible negativity all the time. Oh my gosh. Vacapalo said, in 2017, my family in Puerto Rico had no power for 8 months. Wow. That's insane. That's really, really insane. Linda Kiesling says, channel your inner Viking. It definitely was something like that. Definitely was along those lines of what I had to do here. But 3 days of blackouts, man, that is no freaking joke. It was so intense, you guys. I just can't even tell you the level of... And so it came back after 2 days. But, so I was able to rebuild some radiant heat in the house, thank God. And they did a good job getting the power back on. I mean, regardless of what happens to us, the power company's pretty good about getting it turned back on. So I don't want to be a hater or anything. I mean, they did a fine job, but wow, man, it was so scary and so stressful, and you really just you have to believe in the positive. And in some ways, you have to kind of, you have to push through a negativity that is inside you that just doesn't want to be ignored. The negative says, oh my God, you should be freaking out. There's somebody was telling me about research that's been done with people that are in these kind of survival situations, and it's so important that you stay positive. It's so important that you talk your way through it. That's right. MME Studio says, call on God, David. God is not shy. Boots on the ground crew member here. For God, I see music in colors. Why risk living your life in peril? Move to sunny, free Florida and visit the cold stuff by chance. Well, then you have hurricanes. But anyway, it's so intense to go through this. And again, this coming week, we have more high winds. We have 4 days in a row of high winds coming up again, starting on Tuesday. So I got today to do this show with you guys and enjoy that. I'm sharing this time with you. I'm not taking a vacation or a day off. I got tomorrow to try to recover from doing the show today. And then Tuesday, I'm right back in it again. Yes, it does remind you of being on a sailboat. It's very, very intense. And it's not easy to go through this and to live with a positive attitude in the midst of it. It really does take its toll on you. So anyway, thankfully, the real power outages didn't start until Tuesday in my area. And this is what the wind forecast looked like. It only actually showed up as 4 days, or five, well, it was 5 days. Actually, no, it was 6 days, because by the time I took this picture, we already had been through the preceding 2 days of wind already. So this was literally a 6-day bout of wind that just did not want to stop for 6 frickin' days, man. It just, and I learned after a while not to even worry about the earplugs. I just kept them out of my ears. You're just hearing this all the time. It's so insane. I wish that it hadn't happened to me, honestly, but what can you do? I mean, once you're in it, you got to get through it, and you got to just live your life. You got to find a way to try to stay positive. So yeah, that's what it looked like on the forecast. And you'll see the one I got coming up doesn't look a whole lot different than this. I mean, this is what we're in right now, folks. It's just one crazy situation like this after another. I didn't take as many pictures of wind forecasts as I could have, because honestly, I was just mostly thinking about survival, not documentation. But as the winds got really up there, we were dealing with hurricane force winds, gusts of 80 to 90 miles an hour. And, you have to basically stay in bed. It's better to just try to stay in bed and not get too focused and not get too hung up on what's really happening. So you stay in bed, you try to camp out a little bit, try to say, okay, the universe is not allowing me to do anything else. When you get wind like this, you can't really do anything with your life. You're not really actualizing, your potential in any other way. You're not able to get work done. You're not able to, you know, enjoy anything. You're just basically surviving, even if there is power. Oh, somebody trolled me. You're bored about the wind chatter. Please move on. Okay, we'll get that. We'll get through it pretty quick here. Thank you for that. Anyway, somebody might want to. It's not really a moderable comment, but it was, you know, borderline. But you know, you're entitled to be bored. If you, thank you for your honesty. But I'll tell you, you know, the weather is victimizing us. Our mindsets are. We do art during windstorms and we play music. Well, that's good. And then that's the point. You know, by focusing on the positive, you try to find things that you can do, find things that you can enjoy. So we lost power on Tuesday morning, 8:25 a.m. And, we had another donation come in. I went through an entire night with no electricity or heat, and I kept my refrigerator going with EF Delta batteries, which was pretty incredible. These are solar-powered batteries, and if I can't get the sun going, then sometimes I'll make sure they're charged with wall current. But they actually kept my refrigerator going throughout the whole entire blackout. I saved my food. That was incredible. Tina Nierenberg donated $100. Thank you very much. It says propane body heater for inside only, or propane buddy heater for inside only in case of a full shutdown. I don't have anything like that, but I guess other people do. Yep. Oh, Elisa Taylor says, we love your interactions. Disregard those who are in such a hurry. That's right. Yeah, and you want to watch out for propane, as Ross Feinstein is saying. No propane inside. The fumes can be really bad for you. Holy crapola, 3 days without power up there alone. Dude, you are a friggin' survivor. Respect, respect. This is Intent Recordings. You are absolutely right. It was so intense. And all I can tell you is that I am changed forever as a result of it. It has never, yep. Be aware of deadfall branches and high winds as you're walking through the woods. Please be safe. Yep, I definitely am careful about that. You gotta, if you're gonna walk in the woods during high winds, you gotta really be aware of that, absolutely. We did have several trees fall down on my property. So I somehow managed to keep my refrigerator going. My groceries actually survived. As I told you, I did not trust that it was safe to use the fireplace. Solopoly says, do you still use ratfish oil? You talked about it with Pete Peterson. I haven't in a long time, but it's not to say that it isn't good for you. And we're thinking about possibly doing something with that again. David, you need a dog for a companion, says Poodle Man. Well, you know, I might get another one at some point, but again, right for now, I'm just focused on my own survival. Mr. Tie-Dye says, be the change you wish to see in the world. And donate $20. Thank you very much. What brand of batteries did you charge your fridge with? Says DCMKV. Again, that was the EF Delta, and they worked really, really well. Do you have ranchers up there or various farms? Yes, we do. And high winds are part of the Front Range in Colorado Springs where I live. I've been here all my life. It's part of what it is. I know, it's just very intense. Did you have running water? Well, that was another thing. Thank you for talking about that. I had, first of all, I did not trust it was safe to use the fireplace. I brought in wood from outside that was still drying, was still wet, which means it's going to create smoke. I slept in winter clothes and 2 base layers. I actually ended up wearing slippers and ski pants into my bed under the covers, and I had 2 comforters on top of me plus a wool blanket. And it was very intense. It took a very intense amount of focus and energy to get through this and to feel positive. And I strongly considered evacuating, but I had to stay with the house again because of the idea of, you know, what are we going to do if the pipes freeze? You don't want to have that happen. So I was very, very grateful that we saved our pipes. That didn't happen. Stephen Miano donated here, and he says, please do a deep dive on XRP cryptocurrency. Spoiler evidence of time travel involved. That's pretty funny. John Carter donated $50. Thank you very much. Wow. Really glad to hear that. And Sunny Skies put up another link for you if you'd like to use that. That's really great. And I do appreciate that very much. Couldn't you have stored your food outside? Well, and somebody's saying, no XRP, no XRP. I don't know. It's up to you guys what you want to do there. But it's bad stuff they're doing on those ranches. I won't get into it. Okay, somebody already. Anyway, Did you have running water? We had it for a little while, but again, the running water relies on a battery. The battery doesn't last very long. And in order to stop your pipes from freezing, you have to run a drip through them. That's one of the things I learned about. We had to go through these elaborate measures to avoid the pipes from freezing. So you turn on the taps, but then the battery only has about a third of a bathtub full of water that it'll run that way. So eventually all the water ran out and there's no refilling the tank, which means that my pipes were empty. So now I'm in the point where I'm actually peeing, standing up again, peeing into the sink, and then dumping water into it with a water bottle. That's about all you can do because you can't flush the toilet. And if you want to flush the toilet, I filled up 2 5-gallon jugs of water. So if you have to go number 2, then you use the toilet, and then you have to, flush it and then refill it with water out of your 5-gallon jug, man. It was so intense. And thankfully, they seem to be able to get the power back on within a reasonable time. But it was so bad, dude. I just can't even explain how intense this was. Charlie Winter says, it's hard living up here. She donated. I know because I'm from Michigan. I lived in the country for years with my kids. We had the same issues. We're in South Texas now. We're much happier. Stay warm, brother. All right. Yes, an empty jar is another way to go. If you want to urinate, that's another thing you can do. It's just that my preference is to use the sink. But, this is an emergency situation. You figure out what you're going to do and you make it happen. We had 2 more donations. We had Cat's Meow and we have Vacapalo. You're my brother from another mother. We even have matching lamps. Scarlet Fire says, you are the new Super Dave. Michael Reynolds, Earthship's concept of houses is Vacapalo. Yep, you're a drain on your plumbing system. Well, Prince Royal says, I can only imagine how Colin McGeezer would survive alone in a cabin in the woods in winter. Crikey, mate, crikey. David, that is awful. I moved from Colorado after 7 years. I do not miss the snow, says Davina St. Clair. Dude, it was so crazy. And I was really scared. But cat litter sand could be a great solution. There's certain ways in which you do that for, where the F is your wood burning stove. Well, again, I had wet wood and I was also worried about a potential chimney fire because I haven't had the chimney cleaned in a while, and I don't know if it's safe to use the fireplace. I mean, it should be, but there were several reasons why I didn't want to do it. Yes, we all miss Gurley. It was really nice having Gurley, but Gurley's not with us anymore. I don't know why Michael Reiter is saying the text is dim, but yeah. David, you should look into a composting toilet. Well, no, we're lying. What am I lying through my teeth about? There's nothing I'm lying about. This is exactly what happened. And I filmed some of it. I didn't put it all out there, but thank you, Linda Kiesling, for the moderation there. This is exactly what happened to me. This is not a joke. This is not a lie. I'm not trying to get clicks. Some people wanted me to move on, but I mean, I'm telling you what really happened. Cedar wood burns clean, no pine in the fireplace. Yeah, that's what I've heard, that pine creates pitch. Well, you have half pine and half oak, and so there is pine, and that's why part of the problem is we got to be careful about the chimney. And I haven't even had time to get the chimney cleaned yet, and now we got another one coming up again. And hopefully it's not going to be as bad as the last one was. It doesn't look like it right now, but it's really depressing, I have to say. P. Payun just donated and says, thank you for the teachings. We're still holding true, around 2,500 viewers. Your well needs electricity to work, thus your toilet does not work. Well, no, actually, the toilet dumps into the septic system and the septic tank just requires the water to roll down the pipe. And if you dump water into the toilet out of a jug, then you can use your toilet. So that's what I'm talking about. And it was good. Anyway, yeah, it was so intense. It scares me just thinking about it. The pipes were empty, but that was good because once there was no water in the pipes, it means that the water is not going to freeze and expand and crack them. So we didn't have any pipes go bad, but I was very concerned about that as well. And again, you got to just focus on the positive. You got to just focus on staying alive, staying positive. You talk to yourself. I also managed, thanks to my various electronic backup batteries, to keep my phone charged so I could talk to a couple friends of mine. Sorry your life is crappy and depressing, but mine isn't. Well, you know, this is something that if you ever go through something like this, and I hope you can learn some good things from this. I didn't use candles. I focused on flashlights, lanterns, and, you know, I kept myself alive. That was the important part. The sense of jeopardy and fear was incredibly profound. The inside of the house got as cold as the outside temperature, about 37 degrees. Somehow I managed to survive all of this. I wore winter clothes inside the house. Again, staying calm and focusing on the positive is very important. Talking your way through each step out loud is also helpful. That's one of the things I'd heard from people talking about survival. And I actually enjoyed spending large amounts of time in bed. And then during the day, one of the things I discovered was that by actually opening the drapes, even though you have no power, you open the drapes, you allow the sunlight to shine through the window if you have it, whenever you do have it. And that starts immediately warming up the house, and we got a lot warmer that way. Yep, thanks for all the positivity. Glad you're still alive. Don't eat, don't do much sleep, read your books during the daytime. Yes. Please move to a safer place. Water in the tub can help your toilet keep working. That's right. Again, instead of doing the tub, I did it with jugs, 5-gallon jugs that were empty. But everyone here at the same time type trolls, we do not consent. David, I heard 3-Eye Atlas will show itself on the 19th of the month. I'm curious about that. I don't know. We'll, you know, I haven't heard anything like that exactly, but we'll find out. Anyway, very intense experiences that I went through. And the sunlight is another thing. It's paradoxical, but yes, just that solar energy coming through the windows really works. Wednesday, 4:30 p.m., finally, the day after it started, after all those hours, man, it was so crazy. The power finally came back on at 4:30 in the afternoon. Whew. It was so crazy, man. The amount of time that we were down was just unbelievable. So when the power came back on, I had a huge epiphany. I was so happy. We were running the heat, getting the house warmed up, and I had an epiphany about the power of the positive. And I equated it to the stretching of the body. So I'd been talking to my friends on the phone. One of my 2 friends I was talking to the most was Jude, and he was telling me about how he's got to do his hip stretches every day, and if he doesn't keep up with his hip stretches, then he can't even walk properly. His body is going to start to decompose. So and he was saying, you know, if you don't stretch your muscles, especially we're both over 50 now, which technically is a type of senior, your muscles will become brittle. It's like rubber fatigue. If you see a fatigued rubber band, it'll start to crack and get brittle. Well, that's what will happen to your muscles eventually. So it's very important to stretch everything out and keep up with that. You can't let it go. You can't ignore it. And so I realized that this is another mind-body experience that we can analogize with, because if you don't focus on the negative, if you don't focus on the positive rather, then your soul starts to atrophy. You create more negativity. So just in the same way that, like, you have your muscles going into atrophy from lack of use, if you don't use your positive thinking, if you don't focus on that and strengthen that muscle, if you will, then it's going to not work for you. It's going to crap out on you. And so this actually, to me, felt like a pretty big realization. The connection between positivity, the connection between how you're feeling in your soul, and then what you're doing with yourself, with your stretching, with your physical body. And it also can be analogized with keeping a clean house as well. And remember, the law of one talks about how demonic negative spirits can live in messy areas. They like that, and they like atrophied tissue. So both of those things were very interesting to realize. I felt it. I felt one coming in, and it was there. So there we go. We have a donation for $100. Vicky Venus Estrara says, $100, get your chimney cleaned. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate it, and we will go ahead and make that happen. Let's see what we're up to so far. We're already at $1,100 and rising, and let's hope we can get to $2,000 at least. That would be great. We did that last week. We actually made it up to, I forget what it was. It was like 2,400 or something like that, but it was incredible. So thank you guys so much for participating. Really, really love it when you give us donations. It helps me so much. So I used to be positive. Then I got tired of things are happening. Things are getting better. Then nothing. Tired of hearing this BS. They're really dragging this out, aren't they? I don't know. I do believe that it works. The positive thinking is what kept me alive through this. I was strongly thinking about evacuating, going to a hotel, but then I knew I wouldn't be able to stay here to fight for my pipes. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this crazy situation. A whole night without power. They told us already they weren't going to turn it on until the following morning. They didn't even estimate that they were going to turn it on during the night. They just left behind whatever they were leaving behind, and it was wow. Beverly Adams says, I concur on the stretching. As a 61-year-old deep tissue massage therapist who can bend into a pretzel, keep stretching and getting massages. Yes, I totally agree. I'm sure many here would love to keep you warm. Donation from Echo 2000. That's right. You cuddle up together. Your body heat works together. It was very intense. Sorry you had such a close call with survival, says David of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, it was very, very intense. Laura says, David, you need a good dog and a good homesteading-minded woman. Don't worry, I'm not offering. I'm much too old for you. Laughter. Ross Feinstein says, Helene was intense, days without power. Thank God, much less than most around us. But with my health issues, it was terrifying. Thankfully, because of you, David, we were prepped to the max. That's really cool. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I'm glad that I have a positive effect on people. Gene Novacek says, I love it. Fight for your pipes. Absolutely. That's what I did. So, and man, Midnight Mark, you are on it right away. Nobody even saw that one, but I did. So anyway, thank you, everybody. And we're really glad that, I'm really glad to be alive, I got to say. So all these other things are happening in the world. Negative entities, again, live in messy areas and atrophied tissue. So it really is an analogy, this beautiful epiphany I had that that it's a discipline to focus on the positive. And somehow, despite all odds and despite every possibility to be afraid and to think terrible things were going to happen, I pushed through it and I made it into something that actually worked for me. It was pretty amazing. And you know, we're doing good stuff on the planet. We're doing good stuff here. Our company is doing just fine. We have some great things that are getting ready to happen very soon, actually. So let's just hope that they do. That's another gripping drama that is now coming to fruition in a way that seems to be very positive. What year and model is your Stratocaster? I'm not really sure, but it is a beautiful blue color. You don't usually get to see that, but it does have a beautiful blue starburst kind of color to it. Oh my God. Clay Madgeson says, 21 days without power after Hurricane Helene last year. Positive thinking kept us going. Even on days we were told it would be another 4 to 8 weeks, that same day, the power miraculously came back on. That is wild, dude. Wow. Just realized I hadn't zipped up my fly. I've had done the whole show up until now with my fly unzipped, but you didn't know that. I did. I did just now. Anyway, toe warmers. Where is the airplane? You know, okay, well, thank you, Midnight Mark. Yeah, we have, you know, the company is doing fine. There's some really cool stuff going on that you know we'll be able to talk about as time goes on. But yeah, there's 3 or 4 really great things happening now that are all very high level potentials for us, and I think we're going to be fine. You will look back and be proud of how you survived 3 days of darkness, says Dina Potrabenko. Yeah, I have to say it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to get through this and survive. It felt very exciting at first. Despite the dangers, everything worked out. I never gave up. I never stopped fighting. I stayed calm and I kept busy. The whole thing was very surreal and went on for hours on end. On Wednesday night, I rebuilt the radiant heat profile in the house. I was running the subfloor heating and all the electric heaters on full blast. And then when it really got tough, you guys, and wow, it was 12:55 as I say that, as it really got tough. Thank you, Midnight Mark, again. He is the ultimate moderator. the ultimate moderator. But you're all good. We have several great moderators here. And I was also doing the sponge bath. You obviously can't do a regular shower or anything, so I noticed that like the area behind my ears is what stinks the most. So I would wash that area really heavily and then, you know, hit my hair with a washcloth. It was so intense. It was so intense. I still have, you know, residual trauma thinking about it. So I rebuilt the radiant heat profile knowing that it could happen again. And then sure enough, Thursday morning, once again, 10:47 a.m., there was a big loud thumping noise, and all of a sudden the power goes off again. And by this point, I was so tired of fighting, it was just ridiculous. And so they tell us that the power is going to be back on at like 12:30. And then when we got to that point, they tell us the power is going to be back on at like 2:30. The estimates keep extending by once every 2 hours. Then they told us 4:30. The power didn't actually come back on until 5:15 p.m. or it might have been 4 o'clock. It said it was going to be back on at 4 o'clock. So I'm checking this website because I, again, have my backup batteries. So I've got all the backup power is in place. I can charge my phones. I can keep the refrigerator going, keep the laptop going, and I can stay online because I have a breakaway box. I mean, dude, it was just insane. You can use your car as a generator for electricity. It's cheaper than a generator that you hardly ever use. Damn, Mark, you're too quick, says Ross Feinstein. I guess Mark's the one that gets everything first. But anyway, let's see what that one was. Yeah, they're not happy. They're not happy about how well moderated we are now. But anyway, I don't know about that. Anyway, it's pretty insane. Ross says he can't even see the comments, and Mark's already gotten them if they need to be moderated. So yeah, I took sponge baths, you know, and I would do my whole body, but you have to only take off parts of your clothing at a time because it's so cold in the house that you gotta, you know, keep other parts of your body clothed. So you wash your armpits, you know, you wash your chest, you rinse it out. So those jugs of water that I had really came in handy for that. And you also got to make sure that you're washing your feet, that you wash in between your toes. Because again, you don't want to get athlete's foot. If you wear socks for more than a day, you start to get athlete's foot. It was very intense. So I guess Mark is kind of grabbing all the moderation duties because he's the fastest one. David, this seems like God is pulling out many energetics from you. I feel this is for all of us. Yeah, I mean, it's an initiation. When you go through initiation like this, it changes you on a fundamental level. You're growing as a soul. You're expanding into a new definition of what it means to be yourself. Oh, wow. In Hong Kong, we had back-to-back infernos weeks ago, 7 high-rise fire building, lots of casualties, subway fires, yesterday an apartment fire too. Clean your feet. Yep. Yeah, it's important. You don't want to have anything, you don't want to have wet socks. You got to make sure that your socks stay dry, and that's really important. So again, it's not a pity part. There, somebody can donate that one. You can moderate that one if you want to. I'm not pitying myself, though, I will say that. I'm just showing you guys what I went through and that I stayed here. I didn't leave. I didn't evacuate to go to a warm hotel. I actually gutted it out and focused on the positive as much as I could. There we go. My Midnight Mark's finally letting some other people take care of some stuff. Anyway, so finally, after they told us it would come back on at 4 o'clock, it came back on at 5:30. And I was so excited. I was on the phone with my friend when it finally happened. But by that point, I was just completely exhausted from this fight. And so once again, we have high winds coming up this coming week, Tuesday through Friday, but the temperatures are warmer. So this is what the forecast looks right now for this coming week, as of last night when I took a picture of it. But again, none of those days of wind are going above like a 35, which the difference between 35 and 45 is definitely, it's not as extreme. So hopefully we'll be fine. But yeah, it's freaking crazy, man. I'm not really looking forward to it. I'm doing my best to learn to adapt to it. But the point is, there's no shame in feeling and experiencing fear. In other words, you can be positive and also be afraid. That's something that I learned how to balance. It's like, yes, you don't out-rationalize the fear. You don't say, oh, no, nothing bad is going to happen. I mean, I was talking to people about this on the phone. Things were happening that were very scary, but yeah, and David, you look tense. Well, think about it. Yeah, I was tense. I mean, it was very, this is not normal. This, with the level of speed of wind and what was going on, it was very intense. And I've never been through anything like it before in my life. Some other people are saying, oh, that kind of thing happens all the time in New Jersey. Well, it just was intense. And Sunny Sky says, for those who are making fun of David, would you make fun of someone in a hurricane? Come on, people, be nice. You're absolutely right. Thank you very much. So, anyway, during the time that this was all going on, I was feeling fear, of course. I mean, you can imagine. This was super intense, and I hope it doesn't keep on being a problem. I hope we don't lose our power this week, but we might. And I'm now much more equipped on how to handle this. I'm going to go out on tomorrow and get more emergency food supplies. I have a better idea of, things that don't perish. Let's have a new subject. Yes, we're getting there. Okay, everything is going to be very, very okay, says Mira Patel. Now you know why I'm a prepper, says Scarlet Fire. That's right. Sorry, David, you belong in the city. Yep, it was a good thing. So anyway, I'm not perpetuating negativity. I'm focusing on how I got through crisis, because crisis will happen. And you focus on the positive during that crisis. It made a huge difference. I'm alive. I'm here to tell the tale, and I'm happy that I got through it. No shame in experiencing fear in the process. So as all this was happening in my life, there was crazy things going on in the world. The first of which was, how many times in the past have I talked about the thorium reactor? That there was a page out of the World Book Encyclopedia in 1956 in the T edition, and that these various intelligence people went to all the libraries around America, and their job was to rip out that page, because thorium can be, a useful fuel to make a reaction that creates heat, and you don't have any negative radioactivity. It's a lot less radioactive. Sure enough, China is now openly doing this forbidden technology of the thorium reactor. I couldn't believe it, because I've been talking about this for years now. This was last Sunday, and we were already again going through wind. I mean, that day it wasn't too bad, but I wasn't on the air because I had been going through wind already. China successfully operates the world's first thorium molten salt reactor. The Chinese are moving very, very fast, keen to show the world that their program is unstoppable. So there you go, right off the bat, as this was all happening, it's like, wow, that validates something that I've been telling you, that the thorium reactor is a real thing, validates our inside intel. They're actually using it now. So that was very, very cool. Yes, there is a Casey connection, reincarnation connection. That's going on in the comments. David, the live has started going back to the beginning of the show twice. I'm not sure why that would be happening. But anyway, sorry if you're getting any glitches. We're still holding true, 2,700 viewers, and I'm really happy you guys are here. So for 1 hour in, that's still a very darn good turnout, despite the fact that a lot of people weren't getting notification or anything. That's awesome. Are AI centers using thorium reactors for massive power consumption? Well, they should. I mean, that'd be a great idea. That's something that you could really benefit from. If you used those thorium reactors, you'd be doing very well. Let's just put it that way. All right. Thinking positively, David, you won't be in Colorado another winter. Yeah, if there's anything I can possibly do to not have to live in this house next winter, it's going to happen. Believe me, this is very intense. So then on Wednesday and Thursday, we had what looks like the beginning of something very scary. And so again, it's like, it's not just my own personal life where I got to focus on the positive. We're all being faced with similar challenges at the same time. A World War III type of standoff with Japan and the United States on one side, China and Russia on the other. And I'm sure you guys have been paying attention to this, but yeah, this was something that, I don't think it's going to turn into anything, and at the same time, it's something that we're all being faced with, so let's just talk about it a little bit. It was right in the middle of my own near-death experience as I was having it. And I couldn't even hardly pay attention to this, but I was checking the news because I was still online as I was going through all this, thanks to my, prepper stuff. So Japan, South Korea scrambling their jets after Russian-Chinese bomber flight acts of intimidation. Tokyo condemns the expansion and intensification of military activities around Japan. That was on Wednesday, 2:55 p.m. that came out. Then the next day, Thursday, 10 a.m., U.S. answers China by sending a pair of nuclear-capable bombers and other jets as well over the Sea of Japan. And this was considered a serious escalation. So, wow, it was really starting to ramp up here. And so, Love for Life says, David, thank God for you. I was sent your 5-hour video by a Swiss brother. It changed me. Thank you. You have no idea how much your sharing has helped us in the wings. So, yeah, it's all good stuff. And, this definitely is something to keep your eye on, though. I mean, we don't want it to go any different bad directions. So here's what it actually says, folks, just so that you're up on the news. On Wednesday, we detailed that Japanese and South Korean fighter jets quickly answered a joint Russian-Chinese long-range bomber flight over the Western Pacific. Chinese J-16 fighter jets, 2 Russian Su-30 fighters, and an A-50 early warning aircraft were part of the provocative flight that also passed right near South Korea. Russia's defense ministry had confirmed its Tu-95MS strategic bombers and China's H-9 strategic bombers conducted an 8-hour flight over the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea, and the Western Pacific, but at no time was any country's airspace violated. Well, still, it was seen as being very provocative here. And Scarlet Fire says USA are the 2 last big countries not controlled by you-know-who. And the 2025 solstice, I don't know anything about a particular Casey 2025 prophecy, but definitely we had the Archangel Michael stuff highlighting this year, and this year has been very intense indeed. I love you guys. I'm sorry if I had to focus on my negativity there, but it felt good to share that with you. It felt good to get it out. And again, please keep the donations coming. We really need that help. Those winds in the same area fell a tree on top of my Toyota Tacoma, no joke. This is Co-Create Vitality. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm glad I had my car in the garage because, yeah, trees came down in my storm too. 2 different trees came down into my driveway. So I'm having to have those cleared this coming week. One of them actually damaged the railing on the fence around my property. So it's been very, very intense. Anyway, nobody's airspace was violated. That's what they're trying to say. Washington quickly injected itself into the ratcheting situation, coming amid a diplomatic and economic standoff between Japan and China by sending U.S. nuclear-capable bombers on patrol over the Sea of Japan. Whoa. Now, wait a minute. It's bad enough, but then Russia's getting involved, too? Japan's government confirmed its fighter planes joined the U.S. bomber patrol, which was clearly a show of force signaling China and Russia. Apparently, they were both involved in it. Well, this is extremely scary stuff. I mean, again, I don't want to push the fear, but let's not ignore it either. Let's process what's being put in front of us. Echo 2000 donated, said, make a Christmas music album while you're snowed in. Yeah, it's one thing to be snowed in. If it was just snow, but when it's high wind and then there's no power, you're not going to be doing much of anything. And I certainly wouldn't have enough energy to run the rig. But yeah, if it was just snow, that would be a different sound. There's a cracking sound coming through. I don't know, is anybody else getting a cracking sound? I'm not. Nobody else is saying that. Kayla Rosen, your talk is exactly what I needed today. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, this is real life, man. Art imitates life, right? So my art is imitating what actually happened to me. Nope, no cracks are present, so that's probably just your own computer. This is not a physical war. You're absolutely right. I don't know, somebody else is saying they hear crackling, but everybody else says clear on my end. I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it. When you have an audience, it's okay to share personal day-to-day life issues. You still bring what we're tuning in for from fellow Coloradian. No cracks. Somebody, Dr. Phil, says a subtle, sporadic cracking. No, okay, well, a couple people are hearing it, but mostly not. So, okay, no crackling. I don't know. I mean, there's always strange things that happen in the live streaming process. Almost everybody says it sounds good. There's no sounds of anything bad. I will try to make sure that I don't move in any funny way that might be causing it. David, today you are intense and on it. Mira Patel keeps saying that, but sorry, Mira. Sorry if you don't like it, but, you know, just trying to get through this. Trying to talk about what's really going on. So again, they sent their nuclear capable, clearly a show of force. I guess I had 2 iterations of that one. Karen Merritt said, David, you don't need to apologize. You're the only truth I trust these days. Thank you for what you're doing, and this is the closest to reality of what I dream about. Yeah, Midnight Mark, thank you. Anyway, we confirmed that the strong resolve of Japan and the United States not to allow any unilateral change of the status quo by force, as well as the readiness of our self-defense forces and the U.S. military, said Japan's defense ministry in a statement. The fresh exercise with the U.S. Air Force was conducted in an increasingly severe security environment surrounding our country, it said. The flight included a pair of U.S. B-52 bombers, escorted by Japanese F-35 stealth fighters and 3 F-15 jets. Wow. Beijing presented the prior longer flight as routine in accord with international law. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Jiao Jiakun responded dismissively, saying, the Japanese side has no need to make a fuss about nothing or to take this personally. Well, obviously, people were freaked out about it, and it was a big deal. So thank you for moderating that one. We have great moderators here. No cracking sounds. Sound is great. Turn your house into a retreat center for people who believe in you and in your mission. Well, maybe someday we will do that, if I can still hold on to the place. And we should. Have some respect, people. This is David Wilcock here, says Intent Recordings. If he wants to talk about his frickin' lunch, believe me, you're going to learn something. Yeah, I mean, this is the real life of what I've been through. This is the real life of what you might go through at some point. And, you know, maybe some of the things that you've heard from me will help you. You know, if you think about what you can do and you think about the options that you have. Anyway, I just don't want to see World War III happen. I don't think it will. But I also want to acknowledge something that a lot of people are probably going to ignore. It showed up on Insider Paper as well. Show of force after Chinese and Russian military drills in the skies and seas around Japan and South Korea. So this was very intense for everybody. And then at the same time that this was going on, right around that same time, starting on Monday, that they did that provocative flight, there was a tsunami that they expected might hit from major earthquakes. And we know that there could be, you know, various types of ways in which these could be induced. So the initial quake actually hit on Monday. They had another quake on Friday with this weird standoff in the middle. So what's going on here? Is somebody messing around with technology? They might be. And again, 6.9 magnitude tremor prompted evacuations along the Pacific coast. And that's from UK Independent. So this is very strangely timed with the provocations. So again, that's one of the things that everybody's focused on. That's, you know, why it's so important that we try to be positive. And, you know, thank you. Talk about whatever you want. So and I like to do current events. I think current events, giving a spiritual perspective on things. Here's another one. The economy in this very perilous state right now. And I'm feeling it too. That's why I really want to thank you guys for giving the donations. And let's hope that Stavati can have a breakthrough here. We're working on it. We're getting very close. U.S. businesses going bankrupt at an absolutely blistering pace. Society changing at a pace that is difficult to comprehend. Yep, that's part of what we're dealing with. So, remember, somebody says solar lights from the outside. Yeah, that's right. If you open up the drapes on your house when the sun is out, then that will warm the house in ways you can't even imagine. Sorry, David, I don't mean any negative intention, says Mira. No, I get it. And, you know, I'm just showing you. Right, MME Studio says, David, your testimony helps others understand you're not alone. That's absolutely right. And with you guys donating, and, you know, we need some more donations, though. We're still underneath our goal. If we want to get up to at least 2,000, we're at 1,100 right now. So if you want to think about that, if there's a way you could help us out, either here or, you know, we have the links that Sunny Skies likes to put up from time to time, that would help too. Either way. But thank you very much. And those who've already donated, I'm very, very grateful for that. And it keeps us on the air. It keeps us going. It's been really great that you guys are doing this for us. Woo! North Carolina feels like it's 13 degrees Fahrenheit from the wind. That's incredible. So yeah, this is something that we're all facing as well, the economic changes. It's very intense. More important than ever to stay positive. More important than ever to actualize that force of the universe that keeps you safe, keeps you, keeps you away from harm. 2,800, we're almost up to 3,000 concurrent viewers. Let's hope we can get to 3,000. That would be awesome. And Vacapalo, thank you for posting that link. Please go ahead and use that if you guys want to. 8 Infinite Freedom donated $20. Woo, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much, 8 Infinite Freedom. It really does help us. It is the time of purification, written about in cultures worldwide. If you think you won't be tested, you are wrong. Learn from what David is telling you. I would absolutely agree. Don't ever take it for granted that that nothing's going to happen and you'll be fine, no big deal. I mean, these things do take place and they're very intense when they happen. So yes, that's one of the things we're all facing. And then another thing that just happened this past week, probably more of a positive, the social media ban for everybody under 14. Law stipulates that companies must take reasonable steps to prevent children from accessing accounts advised using multiple age assurance technologies, including government ID, face or voice recognition. In anticipation of the rule coming into effect, Meta, which owns Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, began removing Australian children from under 16 from its platforms the past week. Wow. Says it right here. 5 million children aged under 16 in Australia, 1 million between the ages of 10 and 15, according to their statistics. Well, the vast majority of children affected by the ban are no doubt fast asleep. We're on hand to bring you reactions from both within and outside Australia. Okay. So I actually look at this as a positive. You know, why do you want to have kids being put through these algorithms that are trying to make you addicted to this stuff? It uses the same type of technology they use in slot machines. But, you know, what we have here is somebody says they have no sound, but everybody else has sound. So it looks like everything's fine. You might want to check your own speakers. You might want to reload the browser if something's going on for your sound. Just try to, you know, click out of it and then log back in again. SC400 Pilot says, take every moment as a blessing. Every second counts. Never take anything for granted. Amen. I absolutely agree. So yeah, we're talking about the power of the positive. We're talking about how positive things are happening. This to me is actually like a government doing something good. And isn't that nice when you see something like that? I mean, maybe they'll feel like their freedom has been infringed upon, but wow. It definitely, I think if you can use it responsibly, it's good. But what you don't want to do is have an addictive relationship with those types of media, because that's where you can really get into trouble. And we showed in previous weeks the enormous statistics of how it ties in with depression and with, you know, sadness and all these different things that really are correlated very directly with people overindulging and overusing. And children might not have as much to do. They have more time, there's free time available to them, and they start getting involved in this stuff. It's very intense. Another big piece of news this past week was good old Z saying he doesn't want to give anything up in order to get out of this situation. There it was, reaffirming his refusal he's going to give anything up and trying to rally European support, resisting any pressure for compromise. Well, how are you ever going to get out of this? How are you ever going to end this horrible situation if you're not willing to negotiate? That's the whole point. These areas have already been taken over, so what are you going to do there? You know, you have to give something. So anyway, Jules of Southern Oregon donated and said, David, keep on keeping on. I appreciate you. Cyber Survivor said, David, have you seen the turkeys recently? Well, I'm not feeding the turkeys anymore because I don't want to put out anything that can attract vermin. It's actually made a big difference. It's been a lot better. You know, we've had much less of that type of negative activity of animals around here. Dopamine overload, right, that's part of the problem that we're having. Elisa Taylor, I agree. My daughter lets her 3-year-old grandson use her phone all waking hours despite my sending info on what can happen. So yeah, that's a good point. And anyway, Ross Feinstein, thank you for work on your what you're doing there. It's sad how the system has become this negative by design, says David of Shield. And so anyway, yeah, he refused to do anything, or perhaps he will leave it up to a vote. So obviously he didn't get very far with that. Now he's finally holding a referendum in order to exchange this for peace. So let's hope that we can see some positive motion happen in that area. Another thing that was happening this past week that can freak you out, and again, trying to focus on the positive. Well, we don't ignore the negative. We got to look at the news and take stock of what's going on, saying that his days are numbered and warning that there could soon be action on the ground. That could happen. I mean, and then we saw the seizing of the tanker. That took place on Wednesday, as you can see right here from an AP headline. U.S. seizure of rogue oil tanker off of Venezuela signals a new crackdown on the shadow fleet. Yep, and then it starts to accelerate even more because on Thursday you have P coming in and saying that he may end up defending them and doubling down that he's going to back them. So there again is another possibility of how things could turn into a really weird, bad war situation. It's all this crazy stuff going on at the same time. We have 2 donations that just showed up. Dr. Phil says, you may have seen the leaked 3i Argus Cam space probe photos. It feels like it may shake things up on its closest Earth pass in 5 days. 3i could. I don't know. I haven't seen that particular space probe photo. Paste a link to it if you can find one, and I'll click on it and take a look at it. Blissful Sahara also donated $30. Thank you very, very much for that. Stock up on propane, Yep, barbecue, battery packs. Yeah, we're doing good. We're going to be okay. Deborah is being a little bit harassing there, but I get it. Somebody, look, it's my show, and if I want to talk about things that are hurting me, that's fine. I can do that. Anyway, it's all okay. And the moderators are kind of asleep at the wheel here, but that's all right. They'll be back on the job right away. So it says right here that they confirmed that the president spoke by phone with this guy, NM, on Thursday, reassured him of their support at a moment he's likely facing this change in action at the hands of the U.S. He expressed support of his role in the face of growing external pressure, but they also discussed advancing a strategic partnership and ongoing economic and energy projects. They have long stood by their side throughout years of growing isolation and sanctions. So yeah, this is freakish. They added that he expressed solidarity with their people, reaffirming support for their policy of safeguarding national interests and sovereignty amidst mounting external pressure. So we got the Russia-China thing, now we got this thing, we also got the Ukraine situation. They're all colliding at the same time. It's obviously a very intense time to be alive. But as we focus on the positive, as I'll talk about again with the meditation effect, this is really going to make a difference. It's really going to turn things around. So we're not helpless, we're not powerless, and there's a lot of stuff that we can do. Who's we? I'm talking about we collectively, we the audience, how we all work together, and we're all focused on how we do this stuff together with each other to get where we need to go. And again, thank you guys very much for the donations. We're now up to 1,200. I hope we can keep on going. All right. So on Friday, he again refuses the deal and reignites the threat of World War III. It just never seems to stop. It's been going on like this over and over again. Whatever they try to do, it just gets squashed. Everybody except him loved the plan. I thought we were very close, but okay, here we go. So let's read a little bit of this. First, on Thursday, the chief of NATO said that Europe and the world should prepare for a coming war. Oh my God. Ominously warning it could be on the scale of a war our great-grandparents endured. Oh my goodness, right? We'll review that data in just a second, okay. Soon after this, the president seemed to echo the warning while voicing frustrations that there was no current off-ramp of what was going on right now. That is frustrating. Things like this can end up in third world wars. How about that, huh? How about that? I told the other day, I said, you know, everybody keeps playing games like this, you'll end up in a third world war. We don't want to see that happen, he said. Yeah, we definitely don't. And I don't think it will. But again, these are the things that are assaulting our positivity and our peace of mind right now. And so we don't run away from it. We look at it straight in the face. I'd like to see the killing stop. 25,000 people died last month, mostly soldiers, but also bombs being dropped, other people being involved in those things. I thought we were very close to having a deal. I thought we were very close. In fact, other than this one guy, his people loved the concept. Okay, now let's go back and we'll review the, somebody says he made a very good pun. Let's review this data about NATO, because that's pretty freakish as well. So here we go. So the NATO chief, his name is Mark Rutte, and he gave a major address in Berlin, pleaded with members of the alliance to drastically step up joint defense efforts in order to face down a coming conflict with Russia that could be on the scale of war our grandparents and great-grandparents endured. I mean, this is just a lot of fear, and we don't want that to happen. So there are things we can do. There's stuff that we can do to make this possible, that it's not going to have to happen. In the keynote speech, he chastised alliance partners who don't feel the urgency of the threat. We are their next target. I fear too many are quietly complacent, he said. Oops. Too many don't feel the urgency, and too many believe time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now. Conflict is at our door. Russia brought war back to Europe, and we must be prepared, he said, warning that there could be another world war. So that is the real news, man. That's actually going on right now. He further asserted that Russia could be ready to use military force against them within 5 years at a moment that the war shows no sign of stopping. Rutte argued that more than just higher spending thresholds should be implemented, that alliance members should shift to a wartime mindset. This is happening right now, right? It's very intense. This is not the time for self-congratulation, he continued. I fear too many are quietly complacent. Too many don't feel the urgency, and too many believe time is on our side. It is not. The time for action is now. Now, here another thing happened just yesterday, that a ship from China was seized with dual-use technology, and it was traveling to this other country, and they revealed it as an effort to disrupt their clandestine military procurement. Wow. I mean, again, just all these weird smoke signals, and then, unfortunately, last night, we had 2 tragic events that took place. That just happened as well, as you can see here. Both of which were, unfortunately, you know, anti-Semitic events. And for me, this is just heartbreaking. This should never be happening, and we can only hope that we'll get a world of peace as time goes on. So in the one about Brown University, it says right here they have a relatively high representation of these types of students compared with the overall I've just got to be careful about too many keywords, sorry. But we're just trying to, you know, so there you go. And then with the other event, it actually was a Hanukkah celebration. Both of these things happened right before Hanukkah, which is like the Jewish Christmas. And in Australia, you know, that was actually a celebration. Thousands of people were there on Bondi Beach for that process. So again, we mourn the loss of these victims, and it's very sad. Don't get sucked into the fear scenario. Yes, I'm just talking about the stuff that's happening that's very interesting. And I wouldn't say this is interesting. It's just a tragedy. But when you look at the surrounding context of everything that's going on, it is so important that we focus on the positive. It is so, because this actually changes reality. It changes reality in a way that is very concrete that we're going to talk about in just a minute here. So again, I am not in the least bit anti-Hebrew, Jewish, Semitic, whatever. In fact, I wish that we could learn to not harm each other. And it's very important. Whoa, oh my gosh. Somebody just donated $500. I think that's the highest donation we've ever had. That is Eugene Gabriel. And he says, hey, David, I hope this helps. I've been watching you since you did your first live class around 2010. I enjoy the things you talk about. Keep up the good work, and God bless you. That is incredible. So thank you, Eugene. That is incredible. Let's see what we're up to now. We're up to 1.7K. That's incredible. Eugene, hell yeah, says Midnight Mark. Incredible. All right. Yeah. I mean, anti-Semitic is not good. And to go after people because of whatever reason, these are innocent people. It's a very immense tragedy. And again, grow up. Don't do stuff like that, and it's just really sad to me that anybody would even consider doing something like this. But this is the world that we're living in. We need more peace. We need more positivity. We need to learn to get along with each other. And yes, again, Eugene Gabriel, thank you so much. That is incredible. You've saved the show today, bringing us up towards our goal, fundraising goal that we have. So thank you very, very much. That is awesome. And I'm deeply appreciative. It's really, really great that you did that. Thank you. All right. So again, yeah, I abhor this type of violence, and we don't want to see these things happen, but it's part of our life right now. It's part of the hologram that these things do occur. And again, it's a very tense time. So more than ever, we focus on the power of the positive, and we can actually reduce these types of things. So first, before we talk about all that, we'll a little bit of disclosure news. It's got some spooky elements in it as well. Of course, 3i Atlas, as we've talked about on many occasions now, has been extensively built up that there could be some type of alien invasion that's going to come out of this. That is nothing new. It's a big part of the narrative. We're hearing that there are congressional briefings going on right now from on the Nordics and the gray species. This is actually one of the things Representative Eric Burleson came out this week revealing what he said David Grush briefed him on with Nordic and gray non-human intelligent species. Well, they are human, but they're just not humans from Earth, I would say. They're human-like, at least. We can at least go that far. All right, so, whoops, let me fix that. Sorry, everybody, I spilled a little bit of water on my laptop. We got to clean that up mighty quick so it doesn't cause any problems. And it didn't. I was able to get it all off there very quickly. Okay, that's good. So it's quite something to hear a congressional representative talking candidly about such things, especially at a time when the Department of War Pentagon categorically denies extraterrestrials, but note not NHI engagement with this planet. Well, I don't know what the difference is really, but he also says that the president was briefed. There you go. Time for the president to share what he knows. Mr. President? Wow. So yes, Nordics and Greys being talked about by people from Congress is the new reality. And that's really, really something. So again, thank you, Eugene. Everybody's still really happy about that. What an intense time. Congressional representatives talking about Nordics, talking about Greys. It is very intense, and we're really happy to see disclosure coming to a head, coming to fruition. That is fantastic. So that you can go look that one up on X if you want to. And it's pretty interesting content. The director of Age of Disclosure says that the moment is coming, it's approaching. He's receiving messages from senior senators and people in the administration saying that the doors have been blown open and the government now doesn't have any choice but to walk through them in some regard. It's only a matter of time before we see the president step to the microphone and tell the world we're not alone in the universe, and he doesn't think we're too far off from that point now. That is very exciting. Let's hope that happens. It's going to change everything. And here we have David Grush saying that the president has actually been fully briefed. And this is not new, but they're presenting it like it is. It's still interesting. He was fully briefed on recovered non-human craft, biologics, and evidence of non-human intelligence, or NHI. A decades-long cover-up, threats, secrecy, and now the story is cracking open. If true, he could trigger an instant full disclosure using one single executive order. Imagine the legacy, the moment humanity learns it was never alone. Is the world finally on the edge of truth? Repost if you want transparency now. Well, I think everybody does. And, but the question is, do we really want the truth? What are we going to learn? And again, there's a negative component to all this. So that's part of what's going to come out. Then we have Europe themselves actually saying that AI may try to brainwash human beings. So they released a 48-page report about this, and it says, growing integration of robots in society in the future. By 2035, service robots have become a fixture of daily life across Europe, gliding silently through shopping centers, delivering parcels to fifth-floor flats, and cleaning public transit platforms by night. Well, many citizens have grown used to their presence, nodding politely to automated crossing guards, receiving prescriptions from pharmacist bots. Frustration simmers beneath the surface. And what it actually ends up saying is that AI and robots could brainwash human beings and trigger a human-machine war around 2035, leading to human uprising with populist calls that we have to put people first. It says right there at the bottom. Law enforcement now finds itself caught at the intersection of technological adaptation and social tension. Police officers investigating crimes done by robots, drones used as tools for theft. So again, very interesting that they're making that warning. As we've talked about before, the AI problem is no joke. So are they, again, telegraphing stuff that could actually end up happening in the future? It's interesting that they're warning about it like this, isn't it? Very interesting. So I'm thinking if people on Earth are saying to God the same thank you as they say to money many times, the world would change to a beautiful place, says Ira Shanti. That's a good point. We would be arrogant to think we are the only living beings, says Maria Sinclair. Why is slavery in the Bible? People can keep a slave for 7 years and then let them go. I think some of it isn't written by God. I don't know. It could be the Old Testament, but, definitely society does not support slavery. I don't support slavery. Somebody says they're getting a hissing sound. And somebody just said they donated. Thank you very much. That was Intent Recordings. And we finally got over the 3,000 mark. So thank you guys for showing up. We're above 3,000 now. And that's great. Okay, next. Here we have Luis Elizondo predicting that there could be a UAP incident that could eclipse something that happened before. And that would mean, of course, it would be a very big negative event. So there again is the prognostication, the telegraphing. He says if such an event, if a UAP incident happens, just whatever incident, we would have an event that would eclipse that impact on society. Wow. So you think that's not setting up a stage, setting up a framework, telegraphing something? Yeah. We've heard for a long time that there are various power interests and that when their back is up against the wall, like we heard from Wernher von Braun, his deathbed warning, that this is what they could end up doing. So we definitely want to be aware of this, that, again, they're also trying to take, we don't want to have those kind of, sorry, Maria, but that's a little bit over the top for us. We don't want to have that out there. Oh, Beverly Adams donated another $50. Thank you very much. That's incredible. And she says, I viewed congressional testimony in the early 90s, high-ranking military officials testifying in the early 70s about UFOs circling and powering down every intercontinental nuclear ballistic missile silo in America, possibly the world, feeling deja vu. Yes, that is one of the things that we've heard. That was in 2011. There was the very important briefings that happened at the National Press Club on that. I'm trying to remember what the guy's name was and can't get it off the top of my head. But I'm glad to be here now. Always look forward to your Sunday broadcast, says Diane Southern. That's right. Very happy to be here. So Kwan Hong Chan, there he is. I'm Kwan Hong, if you remember, different profile name, no dream visions this time. Do you think 3i Atlas signals the second coming of Yeshua Christ or rapture event? Well, it could trigger something like that. If our planet is threatened by some type of man-made thing that's made to look extraterrestrial, but it's actually just secret technology, which they're already admitting they have. If they admit that Roswell happened, they admit there's crash retrievals, congressmen are being briefed on it, all this stuff is coming out now. Do you really think they couldn't build something like this and send it in and scare the crap out of everybody? Yes. When they're on the fence, when they're worried, which is what all this stuff seems to be, the rumblings of war, well, we need to go into World War III, you know, and we know, as I've told you before, that there is a plan, and that plan is very thorough. And the plan, I believe, is still in place. And so everything is actually going to work out, but along the way, you got to not fall for the fear. You got to not fall for the scare events. And you got to be able to focus on the power of the positive. And part of the power of the positive, in my view, is believing and knowing that there is a group that's at work that's going to make this smooth for us, and that there is coordination going on. And so things that we're seeing may not be what we thought they are. There are various schemes going on here for the optics, where there's stuff that you don't really know what it is, and you think you know what's going on. You think you understand what you're seeing in the news headlines, but maybe you don't. And they continue to put out communications, by the way. The good guys continue to signal to us what they're really up to and what they're working on. And they continue to give out these types of communications, as we've talked about, right? So that has not changed. That is still very much a part of our reality. And so, yeah, when I see this right here, an event that will eclipse that level of impact on society, if any UAP incident happens, well, where did he get that from? Why is he saying that? Did somebody tell him to say that? And what's really behind it? You know, these are important questions that we want the answers to, and we're going to get the answers. You know, this is all very interesting. Oh, okay. Yeshua has returned, donated, and he says, what is your opinion of Abdullah Hashem, who claims to be Enoch's reincarnation and the Mahdi? Well, you know, we could use a Messiah right about now. I hope that there would be one, but I don't know who it is, and I don't know if that's ever going to happen. The Messiah is supposedly going to be recognized by all. That was one of the things I was talking to Jude about, you know, but anyway, David, an observer recently captured through his telescope 3i Atlas looking like spinning wheels of light. I did see that one. Could it perhaps be an Ophanim as described in Ezekiel? Now, again, you know, I think that 3i Atlas is man-made, and I think that it's a distraction, and I think that they're going to use it when they need to as this whole thing, you know, closes in, and all of these things that we're seeing right now, all of these distractions and upsets are all part of the war that is on for your mind, and to try to get you to deny the power of positivity. So they really don't like it when you talk about good guy ETs that formed world religions that are not here to hurt us, they're not here to harm us, but that they actually are benevolent and they would want to do something positive. A UAP incident doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be like some type of big disaster, but there could be plans that some would have to make something like that take place. So there you go. Very intense that he would make that prognostication. One of the insiders who's been speaking out is Lukatsky, and now there's demanding, Representative Eric Burlinson is demanding that he testify before Congress. He was the ex-DIA boss of the Pentagon's secret UFO program, telling Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp on their show Weaponized that the U.S. has a real alien craft. They've breached the hull. They've gone inside. No wings, no engine, no propulsion, we understand, just pure otherworldly technology. Burlinson's now pushing hard for transparency after that wild September 2025 hearing. Lukatsky says, subpoena me and I'll clam up under national security. Should he be forced to spill the beans, or is this going to stay classified forever? Vote in your reply, yes or no. Da-da-da-da. So yeah, I mean, there's very interesting and ongoing disclosure momentum, and I think, again, at this point, they want the disclosure, but they only want it to be a certain way. Part of the big game in the universe is that the positive is real, the positive does exist, the positive is powerful, and there's no reason to be afraid of it. There's no reason to run away from where we can all be taken when we see that there's angelic forces. They've made major world religions. I believe the angels of the Bible are real. I believe they are not just like symbolic metaphors, but that they actually did exist. We talked about that last week. These ET contact accounts in the Bible. It's really, really freaking interesting, isn't it? Bonsoir, David. Bonsoir à tous. Bonsoir. Thank you very much. That's Disremi Fontaine. So there he is. And then we had Elon Musk come out and say that in his view that there's no evidence that extraterrestrials exist. And this is from Shadow. So he asked his senior members of the SpaceX team about it, all of whom say they have never seen any. Well, there you go. It must be settled. If he doesn't have them on his team, I'm just joking, of course. But, you know, this is pretty interesting, isn't it? Why would he be saying this? I don't know. I mean, I think there's plenty of evidence, and you don't have to look very far to find it. And it's all over his platform, too. So, like, wow, no evidence. He suggested that many sightings of UFOs could simply be advanced weapons programs being run by the United States government. Well, I wouldn't disagree. I think there are many of those. But, again, to rule everything out and say that there's no extraterrestrials, it's like, I don't, yeah, somebody, Truth Trafficker says he knows they exist. Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that one for sure. Okay, thank you, Midnight Mark. You are on the job and you do it so fast. I appreciate it. So anyway, 54 seconds on that video. And so here's one of the ones that was the 3i Atlas news this past week. I didn't get the one that you guys were talking about, but I did get this one. That NASA lost contact with their Maven space probe as it was following 3i Atlas. Another one of these kind of strange things. Like, you know, why did that happen right then? What's really going on here? According to Dr. Avi Loeb, the object 3i Atlas has been linked to a series of strange incidents, NASA suddenly losing contact with their Maven space probe after this object passed Mars. 3i Atlas goes past Mars, all of a sudden the probe shuts down. This coincidence fuels suspicions of a possible cover-up. It's heading toward Earth, and Loeb believes that global observatories like Webb and Hubble will make it nearly impossible for any information to be restricted. So again, is this really a war? Is this really like that NASA is, or are they just, is it like good cop, bad cop? And it's a game. And, you know, NASA is the bad cop and Avi Loeb's the good cop. That could be what it is. Maybe the satellite was shot down, says OK G6U. Debbie says, thank you for all you do, David. I'm a long-term supporter. Thank you and everyone following you. And yes, let's see how we're doing on our donation goal here. We're up to 1.8. Okay, we're almost there. So if you guys keep on donating and a little bit more, we'll be at the goal, what we need to be able to have a really great showing for everybody can make me stay alive. You know, we want to stay alive. It's a very important part of being here is that I have to make up for lost income in other areas. What about all the old photos people take of paintings with UFOs in them? One in a painting of Mary. This is Kringle Chris. That's a very big part of the story. I absolutely agree. That's a big part of the story. Now, there's plenty of things that I can complain about. I just don't choose to. I did complain about some things, but anyway. NASA is not being transparent. Ross Feinstein says he donated. He said, this is the time of healing. The earth shakes and shifts as above, so below. Buckle your seatbelts. Enjoy the show. Thank you, Ross. Thank you for the good show of support. I really appreciate that, buddy. And thank you for your moderation. Since 3i Atlas, disclosure hearings has been sidelined. Obviously done for that. This is Valentine Puppy. Maven is a psyop, says Rio Dragon. Sunny Skies just posted the donation link again. Thank you for that. Yep, and we're over 3,000 viewers now, so this is a big crowd, man. I mean, standing in front of 3,000 people, speaking in front of that size audience is quite remarkable. I've done it before, and so we love you guys. I love you very much. Thank you for being here. We're trying to focus on the positive, you know, and so disclosure is really happening, and that encourages me greatly. That's why I'm willing to go in there and endure whatever my feed shows me in order to dig these things out and dig out some nuggets for you guys so you can enjoy that. But I don't want to spend a whole lot of time in there because, again, overindulgence in short-form videos definitely can make you depressed. So you want to be careful that you don't overindulge in that. Thank you for what you do, David. Elon is Alec Coulson from Stargate SG-1 Season 8, Episode 8, aired August 2004. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe there are some similarities there. I'd have to go back and take a look at it for myself. But real or not real, they are disturbing prophecies. Yes, there are things that are disturbing. I mean, the whole idea that the next UAP event could be similar to what happened in 2001. Like, whoa, really? But yeah, love you too, David. Thank you, Valentine Puppy. Rich 9i donated 20 pounds and says, thanks, David. Keep up the great work. Trent Mollick was the donation of $7.77. We appreciate that. And Anita Tompas donated $20. So thank you guys very, very much. And I really appreciate everything that you're doing. And, you know, we can proudly defy any trolls that say that I should not be able to earn income. It's good to earn income. And we're still 3,000 views here. This is awesome. 3,000 live viewers. He also weighs in on the debate over UAPs, questioning Elon's rejection of alien evidence despite recent congressional reports from U.S. intelligence officials noting unexplained objects in the sky. Yeah, it's weird that he would say there's no evidence while actual briefings of Congress are taking place, right? It's like, wonder what's really going on there. I don't really know. Vega says it's a good show. Thank you very much for the compliment on that one. And stop the small talk. Okay, somebody doesn't like small talk. Well, I think we're just talking about the news. I mean, current events is what's happening to us as part of the real thing. So this is a big one, folks. I mean, this is probably one of the biggest pieces of news this week. That Representative Tim Burchett is getting his own 15-minute meeting with 47 for the purpose of disclosure. That is super exciting to me. And he dropped the UFO bomb on the Weaponized podcast. He is locked into a 15-minute sit-down with the president. Again, I have to be careful about all the, you know, you get it, certain keywords. Spilling the truth about alien technology, underwater bases, and government cover-ups. Football field-sized crafts zipping 200 miles per hour underneath the ocean. Non-human intel confirmed by Navy brass. This could be the spark for full disclosure. Let's talk about that underwater base thing a little bit too. Ross Coulthard has talked about this, and Burchett has talked about this, that there are ancient sites underneath the ocean on the seafloor bed that have pyramids, or I guess there's submerged architecture that looks like Atlantean architecture. And you go down there and there are active UFO activities going on around these areas. Well, yeah, this gets back to what I was talking about before with ancient builder race stuff, that there are places where there are really robust underground facilities that are now underwater, sometimes under the ocean, and they're still habitable. And so there are extraterrestrial civilizations that go into these ancient builder race facilities, which are very well built. They're wonderful. Oh my gosh, Laura T just donated $200, putting us over the line. Now we're above the $2,000 mark. That is fantastic. Thank you very much, Laura T. I am going to smash the like button on that one if I can. Oh, I'm not allowed to, I guess. No, it doesn't let me do it. She's got 20 likes already. Sunny Skies says Laura Wowie, and Midnight Mark says Laura Wow. That's right. Pyramid means fire in the middle. So we talked about the labyrinth. We talked about that amazing structure, and there was a whole big disclosure show that just came out on Beyond Eyes research. The guy that's doing the tunnels under the pyramid, the research just keeps getting better and better on that one. And remember that with the labyrinth, we've got this huge tic-tac shaped UFO. It's 40 meters wide that was seen on the radar down there, the ground penetrating radar special system that they're using to do that. I mean, this is phenomenal. These things are impacting our reality. Ancient civilizations far more technologically advanced than we thought. The pyramid tunnels alone is such a game-changing development. These huge, huge spiraling tunnels going down into these 2 cubicle rooms underneath the middle pyramid and the 3 pyramids of Giza. It's a big and incredible story. And they look like waveguides to guide the energy of the pyramids for the purpose of healing, for the purpose of initiation. This is all part of what happened. If you can't donate, that's totally fine. I really appreciate you guys being here anyway. Showing up and watching the show is a big part of helping us out and doing great. So anyway, yeah, things are going along really well here, and I'm very happy that you guys have decided to show up today. It makes me very happy that you're here. David, you look tired. Well, you know, I'm not that tired, but I'm a little bit tired. Joe Schmo just donated $5 and says, transform that negative wind into a positive with a small windmill running a Bitcoin miner. You get money out of thin air. How about them apples? LOL. That's funny. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Dorothy Wallstein says, I believe this is true with your undersea stations. The German ambassador of the Federation has a chapter about it in his book. Truth Students video says, thank you, David. I love your show every week. Yeah, well, I'm glad to be doing it, and I'm glad to be here. You know, this is definitely everything we've been working on for so long is coming true. Yeshua donated again, says, how is any amount of disclosure going to help bring us the kingdom of heaven if we continue to have to work 40 to 70 hour a week at jobs that don't create environments of health and peace? Well, that's a good question. I think that in the future we will have a different life, but sometimes, you know, depending on where you're at, I mean, my friend Jude, he works all the time. He works many, many hours, but he's very happy. So my goal would be to try to get your work in alignment with what you really love to do, and so that those things happen. That's why it's important I show up here for my show. Your donations and the ad revenue that I get from being on YouTube are what is driving the train right now as I await bigger deals coming in from my company. And we had Cosmic Coders donate 20 pounds. He says, hi, David, longtime admirer here. I'm glad you're still sane and alive. Keep it up. Greetings from Slovenia. And he highlighted love in the middle. Sabrina also just donated. There's another one, $20. These nasty people who have ugly words are low-frequency parasites. They can close the show. You bless us with each and every show. I love you. Thank you, Sabrina. That's great. So, yeah, the pyramid tunnel thing is so amazing when you find out what's down there and how big it is. There's no way that a primitive society could have done that. It should exhaust any skepticism about what really happened. Same thing with the labyrinth. They've got, again, ground-penetrating radar that shows you this massive, massive complex. We talked about that. Strabo talked about it, and Heraclitus, I believe, was another one. A bunch of these guys from, you know, ancient Greek mythological people. They all, well, you know, not just mythological, but Greek writers, they all talked about this ad nauseum. And it was something that clearly was a very exciting thing to go see. Ghost of Adi, that's right. Thank you very much. Ross Feinstein said, speaking of which, I invested in and joined a new company with an amazing product. Co-founder investor started writing a book akin to Awakening Dream. Thank you, Ross. And Tomb of Osiris, underneath the Sphinx, entrance between the front paws. Right, I mean, it all ties back in with the Edgar Cayce prophecies about the end of the age and all that stuff, the Hall of Records. It's very exciting how all these things are culminating and coming into fruition right now. I couldn't be more pleased. I mean, it's just such an exciting time to be alive. And now you got Congressman Tim Burchett doing a 15-minute sit-down. He's locked it in, talking about these underground bases, government cover-ups, football field craft, zipping 200 miles an hour, speeds under the ocean, non-human intel confirmed by Navy brass, which could spark full disclosure. He promised transparency. Will this meeting finally make him sign the executive order to blow the lid off of this UFO presence on Earth? Yes or no? Well, hopefully it will happen. This was another one that came out this past week. Brand new type of disclosure I'd never seen before, which definitely, again, borders on the fear stuff, but let's go in there anyway. This guy is describing a hyper-realistic mask. Trudy Handelman donated $10. Thank you very much. There it is right there. Yep. And somebody just said, Cameron Clapp, there's also artifacts exhibiting functional technology over 8,000 plus years old, creating recorded history. Pterodactyls on pyramid walls, they are the Thunderbirds. I agree completely. Pterodactyls traveling through time would be what that is. Yep, and like the Egyptian Bennu bird. So, dude, it's just so exciting. I mean, there's so much stuff going on right now that has me just thrilled to be alive. And at the same time, you know, this was a really strange one. This one just kind of popped up at random, that apparently masked for a reptilian to look like a normal human being. U.S. Army veteran Patrick Riley alleges on a military mission he discovered a sophisticated face mask believed to be non-human technology. Okay, check this out. With eyes built directly into its structure. What he actually says is that that the front of it looked human. It was very realistic. It actually even had the right temperature for skin, but that the back of it had scales and it was meant to fit over a reptilian face. So this is something that a reptilian being could put on to look human. So feel free to panic at your leisure, okay? But again, I encourage you not to give in to the fear, because they don't, the people who are doing these disclosures are not interested in letting you know that there are also good ETs out there. But that's why I keep promoting this, that world religions are founded by these beings, and that we've had so much come our way that's so positive. Kringle Chris says, hold on, be in the light of love. So yes, I encourage you not to give in to the fear. And part of the reason why is that the DNA of the universe itself reveals the power of the positive. And that's the title of today's show. So again, if you are getting bombarded with all this fear, it's a really good time to remember that there is sort of like a universal quantum signature for the positive that's built in. And, oh, David, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Well, this is scientific data that can't be disputed. I mean, it's already been proven, and it's a very, very significant part of our platform. I've talked about it many times before. I just love reading you guys' comments, so I don't want to stay too far away from that, but I also got to give the other cameras some love too. So again, the power of the positive is written right into quantum fields themselves, I believe, because we live in a conscious, loving universe. The universe is ultimately made of consciousness, and all the top esoteric sources that I look at say that it is a one infinite creator. It's a loving, intelligent cosmos in which negativity is allowed to exist. So yes, the negative is allowed to exist, and it does inspire us to move and grow. So the Law of One makes a big teaching about this, that in the early days of the universe, there was no negativity, there was only positivity. And the problem was everybody got really lazy. They sat around, they did nothing, they didn't want to grow, they didn't want to expand, they didn't want to explore new realms, they didn't want to build any art or create anything. Everybody was just blissed out. It was only once the Creator had a veil put up, and these are now in human worlds, so you have galaxies with stars in them, stars that have planets around them. The planets have humans on them. 40% of the galaxies in the universe, according to the Law of One, have humans on their planets, human-like beings. It's a very popular design. That's why they want to make AI robots that way too. The robot human is able to go around and build things and do things and get things done. Yeah, because the human design is very useful for getting things done. But there was no veil in the beginning of the universe. This is an important point. So Jim Garrigus donated 249 Mexican pesos, which hopefully is a lot. Just teasing. I'm sorry. He's one of our moderators. Thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful. Gracias por el donación. Coping with negativity is like spiritual weightlifting, says Paul Cannon. I can't stay away from you guys. I got to hear what you have to say. Oh, okay. There was a child with a near-death experience who was taken to Jesus. This is Music 17. Showed him a vision of the time this December 20th through 22nd, 2025. Harvest 12:23. If you feel the light of God or Jesus, acknowledge and accept it too. Well, that's not very far away. Somebody says they missed the sword. Well, the sword actually fell over and nearly smashed my lovely little UFO lights here. They got hit by that, and it created a big mess. And so I'd have to affix it to the wall. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll get it back up at some point. But anyway, negativity is allowed to exist, you guys. That's a very basic part of the universe, that when the veil was created, when the veiling occurred, it actually made people more positive. They actually had more of a desire to be positive because now there's something to push against. So if you don't have any stress in your life, if there's nothing that hurts you, there's nothing that upsets you, then, no big deal. But remember the story of the Buddha too. What happened to the Buddha? Buddha is an example where he was in a royal palace. He grew up there most of his life, and he never left. And he only had opulence and wonderful food and beautiful riches and gold and silks and tapestries and beautiful women, people that helped him with everything he needed. He never had to worry about anything. There was no fear. There was no concern. Finally, the Buddha goes outside and he sees people suffering and starving on the street. And it gave him this big epiphany about dukkha and the duality of the physical realm. And he ended up leaving the palace and going out there, renouncing all of his possessions and just living with nothing but a robe and a begging bowl. And with that begging bowl, he began doing spiritual teachings, where people would give him donations, which is what we're doing here. So, this is a very Buddhist type of thing that I'm doing here in a sense. And so that's a good thing. Oh, Sunny Sky says, if I was Buddha, I would have just stayed at the palace. But the point is, seeing the suffering inspired him to want to get out into the world and actually make change happen, to want to see people, be treated better and see, suffering be alleviated. Let's make sure I didn't miss anybody's donations. No, we're good. So it sounds like the story of 47. Well, it could be, yeah. I mean, he gave up everything, right? It's a very interesting point. He didn't have to do this. And people love to troll him and heckle him, but yeah, like, wow, the amount of stuff that he gave up to go in and become part of that mission, is very intense. Beverly Adams said, I loved the UFO model in the background of your Clifford Bahuti interview many years ago. They knew. Thank you. So yeah, everyone dies, but not everyone truly lives, says Steve Smith. Put a tent over your bed and put blankets over the top. Surprising how warm it will stay in there. I don't know if I could really do that. I don't really have the right equipment, but yeah, that's an interesting thing. I wish I could get relief from stress and burnout, says American Eagle Rises. Well, we want you to feel that way too. And again, thank you guys so much for your donations. You've really made today a great show. We're over 3,000 viewers now, which is, not the best we've ever had, but it's the holidays and people are busy, and I get that. So again, the law of one principle about how the universe got started is very important. This idea that there was a veil between the conscious and subconscious mind that was created by the early universal creator in one of the galaxies. And all of a sudden, after that was done, negativity was allowed to exist. Suddenly, human beings began focusing much more on the power of the positive. And they started to take the ball and run with it and go much farther than they had before. And so that's really, really cool when you start to see how this actually works. So negativity is allowed to exist, and it inspires, as it says in the Law of One, movement and growth. The movement and growth that is created is because you're disrupting the free will. So as our free will is disrupted, again, I've had these very intense windstorms, but it's not windy right now. I was blessed enough, lucky enough to be able to be here with you today. We're having a beautiful show today. And if you focus on the positive, the mechanism of the universe is designed, it's built actually that way to help you focus on that and favor it. The universe is built to favor the positive. We had another donation come in. Real JB donated $2. Thank you very much for that. Everything helps. 3,000 is a lot of people, says Lexi Abbey. Yes, it is. I mean, look, to stand in front of an audience of what's now 3,076 people, I mean, that's a stunning event, to really be in front of a crowd like that is wonderful. I got to just imagine and remember in my mind what that really looks like, because it's pretty awesome. And we're over 12,500. We got over 12,500 views right now. David, what do you know about blue plasma UFOs? I filmed many of them in Germany. The blue color is similar to Messier 45s. There's a lot of stuff out there. I mean, it's anybody's guess as to what a different type of UFO would be. I can't say that just because something has blue plasma that it would be a certain thing, but we're definitely not alone. And again, the message from the revealed teachings, like the Law of One, would say that most of the ETs out there are positive. The insiders I've spoken to confirm that most of the ETs are positive. So I don't want to see us get hoodwinked into thinking that it's this evil alien invasion and everything about it is evil and they have evil AI and so AI is evil. I mean, yeah, AI we should be really careful about. But like at the same time, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater either. I'm not going to be like a Puritan who says we should never ever use it. Although there are movies, right, where of course society does give up on AI completely and you're not allowed, it's all banned technology, you're not allowed to have any of that stuff. So, who knows? But anyway. Even negativity is necessary to enjoy positivity. Wayne Dyer spoke about this in his Conversation with God trilogy, calling it divine dichotomy, says Frequency 963. Conversation with God, as far as I know, was done by Neil Donald Walsh, but Wayne Dyer wrote some great stuff too. Anyway, I'm glad that you guys are. I'm glad that you guys are here. It's really great to have such a big crowd. It's very humbling, actually, to know that you guys have showed up today to support me. And so, again, I want to thank you, and just say how much I appreciate you, and that you're here with us today, because it's a great time to be alive. It's a great time to focus on the power of positivity. And I'm very encouraged that, we can look at all these things and see, yes, the universe is built to favor the positive. So we got to start with the pain points. That's why I opened it up with all this stuff about World War III and the economy sucks and wars that won't end and they're not, going away. But is it really all that bad? No. What's happening is ultimately very positive. What's happening is transformative. We're getting transformative change in the universe and here on Earth as well. And it's a very exciting time for us all to be alive. The universe is built to favor the positive. And as I was saying, this can be scientifically measured and proven. So let's just remind ourselves of some basic fundamentals here, like the meditation effect, which has been extensively replicated. And so John Hagelin, who was in The Secret, that movie, and, he was in What the Bleep Do We Know, I believe, too. Maybe he was. I forget which one. I think this was from The Secret. But anyway, Dr. John Hagelin is one of the people, you can see here, he's a professor of physics, director of the Institute of Science, Technology, and Public Policy at Maharishi University. And so this, again, was also called the Maharishi effect, but I decided let's just call it the meditation effect so that it's not so, tethered to that one particular thing that people are going to go, oh, Maharishi, what do you mean? Well, no, it's very interesting because they were doing these transcendental meditation practices that focused on the idea of invoking a pure consciousness, similar to what St. John of the Cross was talking about. That's why I was shocked that today is his day, because here we are talking about the meditation effect, and St. John of the Cross was all into that with the pure consciousness thing. Jackie Baby just donated. There we go. Enjoying the information today while decorating for my family coming home this year. Silver is moving up, so I'm happy. Well, I'm happy for you, Jackie. And again, thanks for donating. That's really awesome. Dr. Joe Dispenza released a brand new study on the effects of meditation on the human body. David, you have to check it out. It's mind-blowing, says Fairy Girl. Great, thank you. Yes, hit the like button. Anybody who wants to do that, that definitely is another way that you can help us. And so we love the like button, absolutely. So again, here's what they found, okay? And this is very, very interesting. During a 6-month period from November 13th, 1983 to May 18th, 1984, a measure of war intensity in Lebanon was most positive during 3 assemblies in which the number of TM city participants, this is their program that they were running, exceeded the predicted thresholds required for an influence on the war, which was square root of 1%, or about, when it's for the world, it's like 7,000 people. In this case, I think it was like 2,000 to 3,000, based on the size of the war. Time series analysis indicates significantly greater progress towards peaceful resolution of the conflict during these assemblies than would have been predicted from the prior history of the Lebanon War, with a p-score of 0.00005. That's incredible. The particularly large effect coincident with the Lebanon assembly held in the immediate vicinity of the conflict suggests the importance of proximity in the generation of societal coherence. So what you're seeing is the War Peace Index, in other words, how much peace was there. It surges during the periods of their 3 assemblies, Taste of Utopia, Lebanon, and Yugoslavia. And so the Lebanon War actually ramped down during this time, and it actually leads to a 72% reduction. The best effects they found were at that high of a level, which is, to me, just absolutely mind-blowing. So transcendental meditation, again, is teaching a non-denominational, standardized type of meditation. Everybody practices it the same way. Everybody learns the same technique. It's all being taught through a unified program, which gives us a scientifically replicable phenomenon. Groups of 7,000 people trained in these techniques got together for weeks of time where they would meditate for long periods. And during those weeks, this is what John Hagelin was saying, global crime and terrorism reduced by 72% compared to other weeks. And this is something I talk about extensively in my book, The Source Field Investigations, which is my magnum opus. It's still available. You can buy that. It's going to be in paperback, or you could find used copies of it as well. David, have you really read the Bible? Joshua says, yes, I have. All these ETs and UAPs you're talking about are in the Bible. I'm not surprised. Jesus said they will come again as in the days of Noah. Yeah, we actually had that quote in the last show, so we definitely talked about that. Joe Schmo says, evil performs its function by inspiring good people to stand up and lead and fight. You're absolutely right there. They say short meditations are as good or better than long ones. That can be true. The important point is that you're participating. So again, where I look at this is it's not like you have to do transcendental meditation. It's not like I'm trying to do a commercial for transcendental meditation. But what I am saying is that these techniques actually get results. They actually work. And the simple fact that we're seeing a 72% reduction, it isn't always that high, but that's the highest effect, and it's been replicated dozens of times. And they ruled out everything else. Let's talk about that for a second. Global crime and terrorism in some cases reduced by 72%. There's fewer fatalities. There's fewer acts of domestic violence. So how do you explain somebody not picking up a gun, not shooting someone? How do you control somebody's free will by being in this state of what they're trying to get you to, which is pure consciousness? That means you're loving and positive. It's all about the power of the positive. It's all about being in this very, very happy, blissed out, peaceful state. You're not focusing on the negative. And then the free will of others around you is changing. So like, for example, let's say that I'm meditating and I'm not letting myself go into a place of fear during the middle of these blackouts that were happening, right? What's going to happen is that I'm sending peaceful energy out into the universe. It's going to calm everybody else down around me to varying degrees. The more of us are doing this, the easier it's going to happen, and it will support and aid the people that are working on the power lines, the linesmen, so they can fix it faster. They don't have the stress as much. They can handle the wind better. They're happier. They're more positive. Positive energy radiates out. That's why you're never going to hear about this meditation effect too much. It's something that the old guard does not want you to know about. They don't want you to know how much power our thoughts really have. That is the greatest secret that any negative group has to hide from us, is the power of our own thoughts and what we have to do. Yes, any moderator needs to take a lunch break. By all means, go ahead. So, yeah, to think about this from a pragmatic perspective, you really want to understand just how deeply the universe is built to favor the positive. I mean, this doesn't happen with the negative. It's not like more people feeling fear are going to create a disproportionate effect of 7,000 people like this. But 7,000 people feeling positive actually does have an effect. So this is a big, big law of one principle. The law of one principle talks about the law of squares. And you could also call that the law of exponents. What is the law of squares actually saying? It's saying that each additional seeking of love in the moment, each additional person seeking love in the moment, which is the seeking the positive, creates an exponential increase in the power that is called upon and the power that the higher forces can deliver to us. That's incredible. There's an exponential increase per person as it goes up. And that, to me, explains why this meditation effect actually works. And it has been replicated in dozens of different studies. They believe that the square root of 1% of the population was believed to be essential. So that's like 7,000 people. Well, we've already had over 13,000 views altogether, as I can see that right now. And so we're creating the coherence as we're working together on this. They ruled out weekends, weather, holidays, and all other statistical phenomena that could have closed this off. And so isn't that amazing? Just when you start to think about the long-term ramifications of what this really means, when you double-click on it and you're like, dang, I mean, wow. People getting together and meditating, they don't have any tools, they don't have any technology, they're not spending any money, it doesn't cost anything. Do you have to practice transcendental meditation? No, I don't think so. Other studies have done this with other types of meditation, and it still works. And I believe that the main thing, again, is being peaceful and engaging the power of the positive. So think about what that means in your own life, that people living around you. We'll talk about that in a minute, the Institute of Heart Math, and what they found about that the people with the most coherent heart rate and brainwave activity, that actually influences the people who live next to you. So if you live in an apartment building, for example, people living next to you, if you're the one that's meditating, you're going to calm them down. And so it doesn't just require 7,000 people. It'll happen on a smaller level. You are actively generating power. You are actively generating energy. That positivity is going out into the world, and it's actually making a difference. So please never feel like you're helpless. Never feel like when we look at these scary headlines, as I described to you earlier, that, oh, well, you know, there's nothing I can do. What could I do? I'm just one person. Yeah, there was a thing in the Edgar Cayce readings where they said that the 45 people could have stopped World War II. And they had 45 people in the room. The people in the room didn't really get it. But if enough people meditate and they focus on the positive, there are Tibetan monks, that's all they do. They meditate for world peace, and they know that it works. That's what St. John of the Cross was about. A single moment of pure consciousness is worth more to the Creator than all other good works you could ever do. So I want that to stick with you. I want this teaching to stay with you in your mind and in your heart and in your soul. I want you to remember what I'm saying, because this is actually a very intrinsic principle that can get you so far when you start to see that it's scientifically based. It doesn't matter that I'm the one that's telling you this. It could be somebody else. It doesn't have to be me. I'm the one telling you something that is very interesting. So let's talk a little bit more about the event in 1993. This was published in 1997 in Harvard Press, no less. And you can see the link right here. And they call it the Maharishi effect in this case. It's fundamentally a phenomenon of radiation of evolutionary influence arising from the enlivenment of pure consciousness, the unified field of natural law. Again, pure consciousness is fundamentally a positive, loving, blissful state that you get into in meditation, and you sustain it for a long period of time. Oh, I felt it. There it was. I could feel that there was a donation. I actually could feel it right there. Lisa Dawn Marble donated $10, and she says, David, you're sharing and describing your personal day-to-day crises and how you handle them is my favorite thing that you talk about in your shows. Well, great. I'm glad that happened. And KWP444 also donated. I missed that one. Do you prefer passive meditation or visualization? I tend to do the passive meditation more, but I've also done visualizations as well. Like putting these shows together is very much a visualization meditation. Joe Schmo says, ads stink, but David is one of the very few streamers who doesn't do pre-roll or mid-roll ads, which drives me nuts. I donate if I like you, but I don't need a new body wash or whatever. Well, it would be nice if I could do pre-roll or mid-roll ads, but I just haven't had the right, competitive offer. And so, yeah, I mean, it's essentially commercial free, but thank you. And again, if you go into YouTube Premium, then you don't have to watch any ads at all, which might be a good thing to look at. Half of the viewers have hit the like button. Come on, other half. It helps just as much as donations. Always hit the like button. Let's see if anybody wants to do that now. What are we up to on likes? 1,700 likes. Okay, so yeah. Hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Let's see that number suddenly rise. That would be great. 1701. Only one person has listened to me so far. But that's great. I'm just joking. Anyway, your intuitive consciousness will speak through you. 31. We got 31 more likes there. It's starting to happen. See, I'm an influencer. I can get people to do what I think is the right thing, and by God, it happens. All right. So you need Shiva shampoo, says Whipsaw. I always listen to you, LOL, says Bobby Thoma. No matter what, let's all be positive, says SC400 Pilot. Use your guitar and stand for the sword, says Meow Cat Cat. My eyes get all itchy and my skin crawls when I'm out in front of large groups of people. I'll let you read the rest there. This is very important what David is saying. We can end all wars with a collective force field of energy. You're absolutely right. I don't know what Shiva shampoo is. Good question, Midnight Mark. 1.8K, keep it rising. Let's see, what are we up to? Total number of donations right now is 2,200. So yeah, if we can get just a couple $100 more, we'll match what we did last week, which would be great. So whatever happened to arrests, believe me, I do not think that that's not going to happen. It's all building up to something, and these things that I'm showing you are building up to the scare events that we were told would happen. So I think there is going to be, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, but I don't believe it's just going to go on ad infinitum. Now, it would have been nice if it all got wrapped up with a bow tie in 2025, which I was hoping would happen. It would have been great for me and for my schedule at least. And it looked like the Michael prophecies was saying that. But this year is so big of a pivotal change that I think that the events that we were told to anticipate are already all visible and they're on their way. Disclosure is happening. The defeat of negativity, the exposure of it is happening. It's all taking place in a very, very interesting way. So thank you guys very much. Okay, well, somebody says that it says 1.9. Well, that's not what I'm seeing. But anyway, that's great. Or maybe 1.9 is the part, it's my cut. Anyway, that's cool too. Shiva Shampoo, the destroyer of dandruff, says Joe Schmo. That's really funny. Okay. Thank you guys so much for your help over there. And I'll keep checking in with you. So again, the phenomenon of radiation of evolutionary influence arising from the enlivenment of pure consciousness, the unified field of natural law. This perspective is corroborated by 43, by 1997, that's what they were up to, 43 published or presented papers reporting on the results of this effect and their interventions worldwide at city, national, international, and global scales. Present-day standard model physics and physiology do not account for the outcomes of the research on this effect. And then this is, again, from their own college, but it's a very interesting scientific paper. It has become possible to lodge a prediction in advance with the police and the mayor of a city and then create this meditation effect. This was put to the test under the careful scrutiny of a distinguished review board in 1993 in Washington, D.C. The maximum decrease in violent crimes, and again, this was highly statistically studied, was 23.3%. So that's not 72%, but it's still freaking amazing, right? Because it's so far beyond chance. And I'll take 25%. That's a hell of a lot better than nothing. The statistical probability that this result could reflect a chance variation in crime levels was less than 2 in 1 billion, or a p-score of 0.000000002. That is phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. So think about what that really means. Think about the implications of this meditation effect and how much it changes the fundamental nature of what's happening when you're feeling positive. What's happening when you're engaging the power of the positive in your own mind? Is it really, just an act of futility? No. Again, this is scientific data. It's nothing that, can be disputed. It's been proven. It's less than 2 in 1 billion chance against chance that this could have happened. So, and best of all, this is not a new spiritual insight. This is something that's been going on for a really long time, and we look no farther than the opening words of Buddha's Book of Righteousness, the so-called Dhammapada. Buddha's opening words in the Dhammapada. We'll use the Shambhala Press Thomas Byram translation, which some people don't like. When I researched this again, I was like, oh, okay, there's people out there that want to hate on Thomas Byram. Okay, that's fine, whatever. But this is what the book looks like, Shambhala Pocket Classics. This is the one I had in college. This was one of the books that I was reading when I was a junior in college, and I started to get into advanced, study of religions and just reading all these different things. I read Hindu stuff, I read Buddhist stuff, Zoroastrian stuff, and I learned a lot. And you find out that, there are certain commonalities in the messages that everybody's sharing. And it's pretty interesting. So the Dhammapada is a nice pocket-sized book. It's not very big. And it has a lot of stuff that happened that's, really good wisdom that he dropped as a result of his enlightenment. So here we go. Let's check this out. This is, again, the Thomas Byram translation. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we create the world. So let's just stop right there. I mean, that's... Now, again, we'll give you an alternate translation. Somebody says, well, okay. But this is the basic gist of the philosophy, that our thoughts create reality. And that's such an intrinsic thing that now that we've looked at the meditation effect, it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And my mother was quoting from this very Buddhist scripture to me as I was going through the blackout and having no power, and I'm trapped at home alone, and it's getting colder and colder and colder. and it doesn't feel very positive, you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? Am I going to live? Is this going to be okay? Am I going to survive? Holy crap. Scary as hell, With our thoughts, we create the world. Think or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart. So you could say, okay, well, what do you mean by impure mind? Well, impure mind is when you allow the negative to encroach, when you start believing in the negative. You don't understand that the universe's DNA is spring-loaded to create positivity. That's where the trouble will follow you, like the wheel following the ox drawing the cart. I got to hear what you guys think about this. I've been reading this for a while. So Vega says manifest positivity. Gabriel Myers says, how do I donate? Well, you could either do it with the links they post, or you could, do the super chat. It's like the law of assumption, says Fairy Girl. Crisis prevention meditation AP. I bet we could get way more than 7,000 to download. Oh, an app. With X, most learn big news fast. We jump on the app and save the day. Midnight Mark just posted a link for that. Thank you very much, Mark. Let's see what else we got here. I had an out-of-body experience as eternal youth, not meaning to, but when it was happening, I welcomed it. It was my first ever one. It felt so freeing. Oh, come on. Somebody's trying to heckle me about raising money. Well, I have to raise money. It's part of living. It's just like Buddha with the bowl. The bowl is there. That's part of what he did. So anyway, thank you, Mark. Each one of us living the change is the power that changes. They have thermal sleeping bags. Get the ones with the lowest temperature. I did well. I did well, and I got into bed, and I had my clothes on and made it work for me. In fact, I was too hot last night. I really didn't sleep very well last night because I was still using too much of the padding, 2 comforters, and you gotta be able to moderate night by night, figure out how it all works. Even with all we see and know, we are barely cutting into the edge of all there is to be learned in the spirit, says SC400 Pilot. Those who have issues about donations should check their own money issues, says Fairy Girl. I agree. Tetragrammaton says, that's what the narrator used to say at the beginning of a TV series called Monkey. Tathagata Buddha, the Father said, with our thoughts we create the world. Please don't compare yourself with Buddha begging on the street. Why not? It's like these are metaphors. These religious leaders were here to give us metaphors that we can use for our own lives. Jesus again, John 14:12, as I do these things, so shall you do them, and greater things, for I go unto my Father, Mother, God. The Christ is a pattern that we're supposed to follow. Buddha created an archetype. It's the hero's journey. The hero's journey archetype. That's where we're going to with all this. Okay, so think or act with an impure mind, focusing on the negative, not believing in the power of the positive. Trouble will follow you as the wheel follows the ox that draws the cart. So you'll always be dragging that around. Whereas, by focusing on the positive, you actually learn how to engage the thought process of the universe. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we create the world. There's such wisdom in there, especially when you realize it has a scientific backing to it. You could go all day with this. It's like, wow, man, this is just incredible. Very, very powerful teaching. Then he says it again. Sometimes in spiritual teachings you get interesting repetitions, and this is an example. So once again, he says, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we create the world. Now he does the opposite. He says, think or act not with an impure, but think or act with a pure mind, and happiness will follow you as if it was your shadow, unshakable. There you go. I mean, you may not always be happy. I certainly wasn't happy in the middle of the blackout. But the point is, hey, maybe my own focus on the positive, the power of the positive, maybe that was actually making these linesmen get the job done faster. Maybe that was actually protecting me against as many trees falling and causing as many outages. Who knows? So this is a very beautiful piece of religious teaching coming from one of the great masters of human life on earth. And I love it. Now, some disagreed with his translation. So I found out that's a whole big thing online now. There's an alternate version of it from Acharya Buddharakita. Acharya Buddharakita from 1996. So this is something that, you know, instead of we are what we think, we are what we think, all that is arises from our thoughts, with our thoughts we create the world. Here's an alternative version. So we can appease those Buddhist purists who say, oh my God, you can't say it that way. The Thomas Byram translation, yeah. Okay, fine. Here's what they're more happy with. And let's see, who donated here? We had Viv Republic. Thank you, David, for all your teachings over the years, and blessings to all. Thank you very much as a $5 donation. Really appreciate that. Thoughts are the only energy that lasts forever, says Paraglider Life. All your thoughts have to be understood before they become energy the universe can use. This is great. Okay. And Fairy Girl says, listening to this is really uplifting. It should be. I mean, I told you I was going to deliver the goods, man, because again, when you get into the scientific proof, when you get into scientific validation of what we're really talking about here, it's no longer in the realm of, oh, David is a con artist, he's a huckster, he's a charlatan. We know all that. We know that there's all these people that say that. That's just something that always is out there. But I want you to be able to make up your own mind. These are the words of the great teacher Buddha. He says, all that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. Or, here's another version of it. Okay, if you're a purist, you don't like that version. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all brought about by the mind. So I guess the distinction was they said it's less personal, that Buddha wouldn't have actually put the person in there. I don't know, whatever. But it still basically says the same thing, doesn't it? Mind precedes all mental states. It all comes from mind. Mind is their chief. Everything is made by the mind. The universe, all that we are, arises with our thoughts. I think Byram's translation is fine. I don't know why everybody's so upset about this, but when I went online, I'm like, whoa, there's like a serious debate about this. And we have, oh, by the way, Nan Combs donated $20. Thank you very much. And that's right here. Thank you, David, for these Sunday shows. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us and love that it always resonates with me. You are such a beacon of light. It's great to see you here almost every weekend. Thank you. 2,000 likes, 900 more peeps. Hit that like button. Let's see what we're up to on the like button here. 2011. Okay, that's not bad. We definitely got it up, but we can keep moving it up even higher. So thank you guys for that. I really appreciate it. We're still $2,200 in donations, which is very good. If we could get a little bit more, get up to $2,400, then we'd match what we did last time, which would be great. So, but Nan Combs just donated, so thank you very much, and maybe we'll have a few more show up. Amen, David. I'm very speculative. Anyone who opens in honesty and humility cannot be called a hustler or a false narrative. Exactly. I'm just trying to give you guys stuff that is, you can read it yourself, you can learn about it yourself, you can educate yourself that this is what this great teacher said. So let's go back to the slide now. Mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind wrought. If with an impure mind a person speaks or acts, then suffering follows him like the wheel that follows the foot of the ox. Okay, so it's only the first two sentences that really sound any different. And wow, somebody just donated exactly as I was hoping they would. That's really wonderful. $100, which comes in as bright fire engine red. And that is Sonia Hinojo. She says, your words came exactly when I needed them the most. I am deeply grateful to you. Thank you very much, Sonia. You are helping us out tremendously, and I really appreciate that. It's wonderful that we have such support from our audience, and you guys are really amazing that you're willing to do this for me. Read David's book, Synchronicity Key, Source Field Investigations, and the Law of One series. This is Carolina Patriot. Yep, those are all very helpful. I often cannot sleep because I yearn to be cuddled by a mutual love and soulmate. It's a good thing I have puppies to keep me warm at night. Kiki 2.0. Thank you. Yep, I know the feeling. I do know the feeling, believe me. But I don't even have the dogs. So, again, this sounds pretty much the same. Mind is the chief of all states. It's all mind wrought. With our thoughts, we make the world. Okay. And then, mind precedes all mental states. Mind is their chief. They are all mind wrought. If with a pure mind a person speaks or acts, happiness follows him like his never departing shadow. Okay, sounds about the same. Let's read a little bit more. He abused me. He struck me. He overpowered me. He robbed me. Well, a lot of us are feeling that way about all different kinds of things going on in the world right now. Those who harbor such thoughts do not still their hatred. He abused me, he struck me, he overpowered me, he robbed me. Those who do not harbor such thoughts still their hatred. There you go. I mean, it's so simple. Like Buddha is like almost like a mathematics equation, right? Like the Buddha's teaching. And again, it's not that these things didn't happen to you. Maybe you have been robbed, maybe you have been abused or struck or overpowered. It's harboring. It's when you dwell on the negativity, you're not focusing on the thought creative power of the universe, the power of the positive. That's where, when you harbor those thoughts, when you dwell in those thoughts, then your hatred goes away. And you go back to this relaxed state. I actually stuttered there. That usually doesn't happen, right? You guys hardly ever catch me stuttering, but I did there. Anyway, it happens once in a while. Thank you very much, Sunny Skies, for the moderation. And Midnight Mark is going to take a pee break, but other people will be there to moderate in his wake. So thank you very much. Cajun says, I think all religions are true. Collectively, they strive to be a good human, be good, do good, strive for. Yeah, and I think the Buddha stuff, I think, again, there's all kinds of non-human intelligence around whatever happened to him, too. All of them were like that, especially Padmasambhava, the second Buddha. He had 6 fingers. He's the lotus-born. Padmasambhava means lotus-born. He came out of something that opened up. He had 6 fingers. He was apparently bald. He painted on eyebrows. Definitely not a normal human, and he was levitating, and he did the rainbow body teachings. 160,000 people attain rainbow body thanks to Padmasambhava, a 6-fingered being who didn't seem to have normal hair at all and came out of a lotus that landed here. Yeah, so let's not get corralled into this idea that all ETs are bad and they're all aliens and they're all trying to invade and there's this evil and oh my God, if they show up, it's going to be worse than the events of 2001. I just don't buy it, man. I really don't. Heinrich Johansson says, Merry Christmas and a happy No Fear New Year. Donated 1,111 ISKs, giving him a light turquoise color, which I guess is what, in the $30, $40 range, something like that. Anyway, thank you very much. And I really appreciate that, Heinrich. So yeah, we're up to $2,300 total revenue. That's great. So keep it coming. We're getting close to our goal. Do the Vipassana teachings have anything to do with this? Of course they do. This is all interrelated. These teachings are part of the universal download. There's a store of wisdom in the universe that's available to everybody. And Valerianne Grito, David, the negative has hit me hard this week. Perfect show. Have you received my email of Koa's lament? I'd love to get it out. It's the timing, right? All I need to hear is that Christ is King. Wish I could donate more. Well, thank you very much. Send that email again if you don't mind. You can go to Divine Cosmos and then .com, and there's a way to do that there that will get to me. Any thoughts on Jesus' actual birth date? That's kind of off topic, but let's just focus on Christmas right now. Somebody says Lou does not resonate, never has. Well, I'm not going to pass judgment on him. He's done a lot of good stuff for humanity, but we just don't want this to turn out in a negative direction. We want to be as positive as possible. All the things I've been through lately, these past 2 weeks, all the wind, it's really made me feel like, okay, I need to do a show where we really hone in on this stuff. So I could be dwelling on the negative. I could have just said, my God, the wind abused me, it struck me, robbed me of power, but then I would be in hatred and I wouldn't have been here with you guys. We wouldn't have had this great opportunity today to talk. But instead, here I am. Hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. This is a law, eternal. I love that, right? I mean, it's so simple and beautiful, but yet very profound. And it's the same message of Jesus, right? I mean, you go right into the Dhammapada, you open it up, you begin at the beginning, and it says, love thine enemies. Okay. Forgiveness. Okay. That's what the Law of One was talking about. The positive beings want you to learn this because it's the universal software. That's why the meditation effect works. That's why 7,000 people meditating created a 72% reduction in global crime and terrorism and fatalities, because again, these principles really work. So yes, I've shared the meditation effect data before, but there's certain pieces of information that are like colors that you want to paint with. And if you paint with these colors and you use them in your art and you bring them up and you talk about them, it's like, dang, I mean, this is something we can never stop hearing about. This is something we can never stop being reminded of. The importance of positive thinking, the importance of focusing on being in the now, having that present-centered awareness, getting that consciousness download from the positive, from the power of positivity. It's so important. Laura says, David, you give so much knowledge and entertainment for free. It's wild. I feel I get so much from your sessions for years now. I'm glad I can afford a little donation once in a while. Profound thanks. Well, thank you, Laura. We really appreciate your help. And let's see. Somebody wants me to stop. That was a moderated thing. Stop reading the comments. No, I like the comments. I mean, part of what is interesting about this is that it's an interactive art form. It's an interactive medium that we have with the audience, and we've held very true. We're still clocking around 3,000 viewers, a little bit less right now, but it's been very consistent. We're at 15,000 total views almost. That's great. So this is a law eternal. Non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. Just as, and this is what was so synchronistic, you guys. I couldn't believe it. It's like, okay, my mom is reading me out of the Dhammapada, and then I'm like, let's do a show on the positive, and let's quote from the Dhammapada, and then synchronistically, if you want to call it that, it talks about storms throwing down trees, which is why we lost power and why there's 2 down trees in my frickin' driveway right now, one of which smashed the railings. So it was really interesting that this happened. Just as a storm throws down a weak tree, so does Mara overpower the man who lives for the pursuit of pleasures. This is like the equivalent of karma, I guess. Who is uncontrolled in his senses, immoderate in eating, indolent, and dissipated. So yes, if you don't focus on the positive, you can be overpowered by the negative. This is very important. Just as a storm cannot prevail against a rocky mountain, and how interesting that I live in the Rocky Mountains. Once again, synchronicity is abounding here. We're back up to 3,000 again, so nobody really left. So Mara can never overpower the man who lives meditating on the impurities, who is controlled in his senses, moderate in eating, and filled with faith and earnest effort. And believe me, I've been moderate in eating, controlled in my senses, and I definitely am making an earnest effort as much as I can. So this is really beautiful stuff. The teachings resonate throughout the centuries. And, people who like phenomenology and they always want to have new information, they get mad that, oh, David hasn't said anything new. He already talked about the meditation effect before. Well, I expand on things. We gave you some new quotes. I gave you the new stuff from the Dhammapada that I haven't personally quoted from before. And again, these are universal principles. It's not like the goal is not to find something new. The goal is to know the truth and use it and work with it for your own benefit. And here's another donation. George Rogers, since your first radio days, I've been here absorbing and deploying. Have you heard about Kim Gogan at UNN, Golden Age AI? No, I haven't. Okay, so anyway, thank you for that. Thank you for the donation. Really appreciate it. So here's another thing that really ties in very beautifully with these Buddha quotes. The Institute of Heart Math's Coherence Study, as I talked about before, they actually started to find people in apartment buildings, and they discovered that you can study the heart rate and the brain waves of people who live next to each other, and they may not know each other. They may have never met before, but their heart rate and their brain waves will actually go into coherence. And what's weirdest about this is that the people who have the greatest coherence, the people where the wave itself has the nicest smooth curve, that coherence, which comes through meditation, comes through being loving and positive, that's what radiates out and affects everybody else the most. So that the brain waves are cohering, the heart rates are cohering, it's the highest frequency. That's the one that actually wins, which is really freaking interesting. Really freaking interesting. Charlie Winter donated $22. If this information is true, then there is no need for war. For if it occurs, we are giving in to fear. This level of understanding our effect on reality requires responsible thinking. Think peace, and thank you for sharing. Thank you, Charlie. We really appreciate the donation. Let's see what we're up to here. Have we gotten to, oh, we're at 2,400 already, total revenue. I don't know what it shows on you guys' side, but that's really great. So we matched our record from last week. Let's see if we can beat the record, okay? If anybody else wants to donate, we're still going to go for probably another half hour or so, maybe not quite. But there's some more things I want to talk about. So anyway, because I promised them in the write-up for this. You know, so thank you again for the donation. Really, really great. Davy Joe Weaver says, comments, indeed we are family, and you, David, are daddy. Thanks, Pops. Well, you know, the father archetype, is a very good one to have, and I'm glad that I can help anchor it in. Oh, so David thinks that all he has to do is focus on the positive, and then suddenly all this bad stuff just magically goes away, son. Look, you can't hum away how crazy you are, the way that you treated your brother, the way that you sassed off against your mother. You think you can come here and look me in the eye, and you have nothing but spite on your face. You think I'm just going to say, oh, well, yeah, my son is so positive. He just loves to focus on the positive. Son, you got to get it together. You can't be going out there telling people all this snake oil salesman bull, thinking that they're going to be somehow inspired by you. Oh, yeah, well, David Wilcock, woo, woo, woo. He says I'm supposed to be so positive. I'm supposed to be so happy. And, oh, yeah, the storm is like ruining my house and trees are coming down. But, oh, yeah, I'm just going to bliss out and be in the state of it. Son, you get off your ass. You get out there. You start doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing. You can't sit around the house meditating, thinking that you can do, oh, I'm just going to be positive and no big deal. Nothing bad's ever going to happen to me. I'm just going to be so blissed out and so happy that, David, you could end up freezing to death, son. So get it together, because I have had it. Yeah. All right. I made a great Angry Daddy shirt, and David didn't even comment on it. I don't know about that. Did I ever get a T-shirt? I never got one. Sorry about that. That character is an exaggeration of my father. That's right. You guys asked for some Angry Daddy. Everybody's laughing. Got tons and tons of laughter emojis, as we see here. Look at all this stuff right here. And all these people, and there's so many of them here. We can show that one too. Anyway, you love Angry Daddy. Everybody laughs, and that's great. So, got to do something to keep you guys entertained. Once in a while, we got to bust out with some dear old Angry Daddy. We need Trama. Okay, well, we'll do a Trama as well. Oh, so you think that you can you're just going to be so positive. That, oh, yeah, you're going to do your little Mishka. You're going to go out there and you're going to be part of this whole thing. But you got to give everybody some love, and you got to try to tell them, oh, yeah, we love you, baby. Mwah, 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 mwah. David, I'm not buying it. I'm your Trama. I changed my gender for you. I came out from a very deep closet, and I barged into your reality to be able to give you some more pointers and tips on how you can be ever more fully gender fluid than you ever were before. But what do? You listen to me. You're not listening to me, David. You just got to get out there and make a statement as Trama, because you have so much to give when you start identifying in a different way. Oh, my goodness. Look at all these comments. You see, people love me, David. If you would just listen to me once in a while, you actually listen to your dear old Trama. You actually pay attention, which you don't like to do that, do you, David? You always seem to want to just do your own thing. And you think everything's it's not always going to be positive. Oh my goodness, I burned myself. Sometimes you got to do things differently. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you love. I'm here to bake cookies for you. I come to your house. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to do all this cooking. I'm going to be a part of your life that you can't get rid of me. You can just set me up in the corner. I swear to God, I won't be that much of a stress on you, David. It's just something I want you to do for us. We got to work together. I'm an Italian grandmother from Yonkers. And I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So please use me. Use me. Let's get into a reciprocity here, David. You can use me. You and I work together
We play off of each other. I've got the Italian cooking. I've got all these great things for you. My gender has changed, and you can be a part of that with me. We work together, David. Let's work together as a team. And we can be so much more in love with one another. And then that's self-love, because this is really just a strange aspect of yourself. It's coming out on camera. Who the heck knows what the hell it is? But you got these funny glasses. I like these glasses. I mean, they're just beautiful. They really exemplify everything that I wanted to be for you, David. So thank you, David. Thank you for letting me come out once in a while and talk to people. I like to talk. I like to be part of what you're doing. I want to be in your flow. And they're saying you need more your trauma. If you don't do your trauma often enough, then we have a problem, David. We need to talk about it. We need to sit down. We need to get together. We need to figure out why in the world do you not allow this part of yourself to come out? Please work with me, David. Work with me. Let's try to get some mano a mano or womano a mano. We can be together. Don't you like this? Don't you like doing this character once in a while? Of course you do. What's the problem? What? I can't smoke this anymore. You're making me run out of cigarettes, David. I'm getting all spit on them. It's crazy. Anyway, thank you so much, David. Thank you for letting me come out today. I'm so happy. Anyway, no, I'm not gay. Yes, I think it's funny to do trauma once in a while. There you go. Oh my God, the comments are just going nuts. We went right from one to the other. Through. Look at this. I mean, everybody is just going crazy. Wow. We had some donations to fly in too while I was doing this. We got to mop up now. So let's see. I friggin' love it. Vaca Paulo says, count me in on these 45 people. What else do we have here? God bless you, David, says Sigma Fort. Thank you for everything that you do. Focus on the positive, release negative love and light. 7 Geometric Thought Forms donated $2. Thank you very much. And he also sent me some sizzle stuff, which at the right time, we'll see if we can implement that. And Sunflower Life donated $333. Wow. Beloved David, thank you for your continued service to humanity. At this time, there are many who are choosing the ascension path who did not incarnate initially doing so. Your excellent teachings, love, and wisdom is helping so many. Please keep going. You matter. All right. 7 Geometric Thought Forms then donated $5. Thank you very much. The glasses are so great. Yeah, I mean, look. This goes back to the principles of the Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is hosted, the best ones were hosted by Drew Carey, in my opinion. And they're not gay, but they act gay because they get the laughs. So that's what I'm doing. It's just a character, and you don't have to be all riled up about it. But again, it's only the trolls that try to make a big deal out of this. Can you do the alien masked one? I don't want to do yet another one right now. I had a little bit of comic steam we had to get out there, but I love trauma. It's Father, Mother, God. Oh, my God. Anyway, thanks, David. I've been depressed today. You just pulled me out of it. Love you so. Live and in light. Anita Constant just donated $20. Thank you very much. What are we up to now? We're up to $2,700 total dollars of chat revenue. That is a new record. And I know Candace did one recently and got $2,800. She's got a lot more than we do. So, wow, you guys. That's pretty amazing. Never seen that before, so I guess it pays. It pays to do some comedy. I'm just joking. But again, thank you very much, and I'm glad you guys like the comedy. Your Trama's here for you. I'm here for you. You got to use me, work with me, implement me as a system in your life. Oh, I love that stuff. I really do. It makes me happy. It makes me laugh. Superior job with Trama today, says Michael Doom. Laughter is very high vibration. Prince Royal, that's hilarious. Levity for the brevity. All right. Wow. I mean, like, mic drop moment. How do you go beyond that when you get that going? Well, now we got one more layer to go through here. So again, we were talking about the Institute of Heart Math study of coherence. You guys are still just, there's so much laughter coming in here. We got all these colorful things showing up. Pretty amazing. But anyway, Institute of Heart Math's coherence study shows that your heart rate and brain waves will cohere with the person who has the highest frequency in your apartment building. David, somebody says, I believe the trolls are in denial. They actually love it. That's true. I mean, it's the New York accent that makes it so priceless.
Violet says, donate $50. Thank you, David. I was falling into a pit in the darkness of social media. I came in right as you talked about that addiction, just what I needed. Bless all the light workers and bless you. Sunflower Heart also donated $20, so this is awesome. It's so strange to me there are people on here trying to tell you what to do and what not to do.
Tramar is amazing. Tramar has a New York accent. That's right.
So does anybody remember laughter? Chris Harvey. So you got Tramar and Angry Daddy back to back. It's been a good day for everybody. So again, how weird that, like, let's say you're in Tramar's apartment building, right? And there she is. And if she's got the happiest state, if she's got this coherent brainwave pattern, coherent heart rate pattern, what they find out is, yeah, everybody else adheres to that. Everybody else synchronizes with what she's doing. And so that's, or she, he, whoever. The highest frequency wins. Another very interesting thing here is Nina Kalagina and her telekinetic experiments. This is the woman from Russia. You may know about her, where she has performed these acts of telekinesis. And if you haven't seen this before, go look up some of these videos. And this is a still from one of the ones you're going to see. It's public domain. It's been out there for a long time. Nothing really, but it's you know, similar to what you see on the show Stranger Things. And sometimes they combine that, you know, there's images from Stranger Things, that kind of thing. And she is actually moving her hands, as you can see here, and they have her do different things, moving objects around with the power of the mind and nothing else. It's really pretty amazing. And so in source field investigations, one of the things that I talk about is the research into the electromagnetic fields that were found around the objects that Nina was moving with her mind. And sure enough, the electromagnetic waves cohered to her heart rate, to her breathing pattern, to her neurological patterns, once again. So she's now projecting this energy that actually moves objects out of her mind, and that energy has her own life force in it. So this is a great example of how that life force can actually create telekinesis. It can actually move things. Oh, David, oy vey. Oy vey. It's so funny. The EU has lost its way and they are beating the drums of war. Oh, Tramar. Bring that up in a group. See if it starts an argument about who's going to have the highest frequency. That's a joke. That was Rocky Angel. You can't really cover the truth of the space program. You'll get in trouble or called crazy. It's best to know what you know and verify everything. So yeah, the point is, even the energy of telekinesis that was being demonstrated by Nina Kalagina, it all goes back to the same principle of, you know, the living force, the living energy. Her own vital signs were showing up in the energy that moved those objects. And again, this relates to the Institute of Heart Math, coherence, all that kind of stuff. Power of positivity. Your positive power rests in kindness. So kindness is kind of a nice overarching word that you can double click on. Romy A donated 99 cents. Thank you very much. Everything helps. Hey, David, oy vey, it's Gertrude. You tram on Yonkers, says TK. Anyway, yes, so celebrating your third super chat. Thank you very much for that. Scarlet Fire says, your brain is the processor, but the heart is the editor and projector. Follow your heart and you will never regret your decisions. Thank you, Scarlet Fire. And thank you guys for doing such a great job today on moderation. All the moderators, we love you. Thank you guys for what you're doing. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful. David, even after our dark night of the high wind, you bring brightness. Hours of dark nights of the high wind, you bring brightness to an otherwise cold and dark Sunday, says Richard. Thank you very much. Stranger Things is based on Montauk Project and MK Ultra, apparently. Okay, I didn't know that because I've never actually seen it. Trama said she was looking for her khakis, so I helped her by going through her clothes until she finally pulled out her car keys. So you guys can get me, you can make requests of what you want me to say in character, and maybe I'll do it. Researcher, we heard you. Last one, sir, says Midnight Mark. That's right. You got to toe the line here. Linda Kiesling, the ladies at church called me a baby whisperer. I learned this with my 3 brothers and 2 sons. Okay. And how are we doing on likes? Let's see. 2,176 likes.
Oh, come on. You got to love your grandma, and you do that by hitting the like button. Could you please just try? Would it kill you to hit the darn like button? I mean, come on, for God's sake, just push the frickin' button for your grandma, and then everything's going to be fine. I promise you, it'll be fine. All right. So, we got more laughter icons coming in here. So anyway, good stuff. We're having fun here. We're making it more interesting by, doing some comedy for you with my wild and crazy hair. Let's make it even a little bit more fluffy. What the heck? I got nothing to lose, man. I've already hung it way over the edge here by what I just did. No big deal. So your positive power rests in kindness. This is an important point. If you can find a way to be peaceful in the midst of chaos, then you're following the teachings of the Buddha, where he says, just like it says in Law of One, all things are of the oneness. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. Think happy thoughts and happiness will follow you like your shadow unshakable. It's a really simple teaching, but now that we're learning the scientific validity of it, the power of the positive really makes sense, doesn't it? It makes a lot of sense. It's so interesting when you look at it this way and you find out, yeah, you know what? There's a lot to be grateful for in this universe. There's so much to be, to live through and to understand. Understanding is the realization of universal law. And in the Law of One, Session 419, they tell you to exercise the disciplines of understanding. We'll cover these disciplines in a later show. It's not going to be this one. But the point is that when we're going through chaos, this is actually just an illusion. All that we are arises with our thoughts. And so chaos is the result of collective dis-ease, collective disharmony. But I do believe very much that the universe is just. This is part of the law of karma, that you are only given what you can use for your own healing. You're not given more than you can use. Sometimes karma is necessary in order to offset personal imbalances that you might have. And so a very negative event that happens in your life may actually be restoring you to balance. And I could tell it was happening with me. The fact that I went through this crazy thing, like I did not, run away. I didn't act like a coward and I didn't evacuate. I stayed here. I got in the flow. I did what I needed to do to get through the whole thing and to do it as peacefully as possible. And so, we're going to keep on working as hard as we can to just survive these things whenever they arise. Hopefully that's the last bad one of the year. I mean, every year we have some kind of bad thing that happens in the winter. It's just inevitable, but hopefully that'll be the worst kind of thing that goes down. But again, it may restore balance. Negative events can restore balance. Now, the Law of One talks about catalyst. The purpose of catalyst does promote your awakening. Catalyst is things that upset you, things that cause negativity. We had a donation from Jay Classer who says, I'm not going to say the rest of that. Love you, Trama. Okay. Somebody was asking for my thoughts on the recent thing that happened at Bondi Beach. We did talk about that at the beginning. I mean, it's tragic that these things are happening. And yes, we still live in a world where these things take place. And I think, again, the objective is to try to remain as positive as possible and not let yourself go into depression. Again, an event like that can trigger people to become more positive. This is what the Law of One actually said, that before the veiling, when there was no evil, there was no negativity, everybody was unmotivated. So we can't bring back those who are lost in these tragic events, and there are many tragic events. People die all the time. But if you can use that as an inspiration to help you become more loving and peaceful, then that's the design of the universe. That's using the universe's catalyst for its intended purpose. That's what we're hoping. So we're hoping everybody can do that. We're up to $2,800 of chat revenue now. That's incredible. It's never happened before. This is the best show we've ever had in terms of donations. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And so, you can balance out some of your own negativity by doing things that are good and being able to, give and be supportive and be of service to others. So if you do integrate your catalyst properly, then the negativity will actually stop in your life. And the Law of One says that, catalyst will repeat until it's no longer necessary.
And it's necessary if it causes you to be upset. So the whole point is try to learn not to be upset by these bad things that would happen to you. Normally you'd think of them as bad. It's the same thing Buddha was teaching the Dhammapada. Try to focus on the power of the positive. And again, don't give in to the World War III stuff. I mean, there will probably be some degree of things that happen. Or don't give in to the idea, oh my God, this probe is coming and it's going to, be worse than 2001. No, I wouldn't encourage that. I would encourage you instead to focus on the positive. Because again, if we do this as a planet, then we get a lot less negativity. If we indulge in selfishness, narcissism, all these kinds of negative things, then we're telling the universe we need more pain, we need more anger, we need more fear, we need more negativity, and then that will be delivered to us. So instead of doing that, if a negative event, this is so important, okay? When you integrate the catalyst, the negativity will stop. It will no longer be useful to you because, again, the law of one teaching is that catalyst repeats until it's no longer useful. How do you define useful? It's useful if it upsets you and deviates you from positive, loving, unity consciousness. That's a very, very curious thing, isn't it? If it deviates you from positive, loving, unity consciousness, it's considered to be useful. Wow. So instead of looking at it as being a negative, when you are faced with something that challenging, you can look at it as a positive. Look at it as a positive. And now the negativity will actually go away. And so when something negative is happening to you, you want to actually bless the restoration of balance in your life. Recognize, because that's one of the classic things that happened with Buddha. Somebody slaps him across the face. It's like, whoa. And everybody was kind of shocked that happened. And instead of getting mad, he said, thank you for balancing the karma between us. That's a true story. It's a true classic Buddha story that somebody slaps him. And, trolls here, let's thank you for blessing me with your hatred. Thank you for balancing the karma between us. Sometime long ago, maybe I exposed myself to you in another lifetime when we were in the street. And now... I wouldn't do that now. I just want to be clear. I wouldn't do that. Oh, my God. No, I never would do that. Anyway, the leaders of the DS are telling their followers do anything they want right now, cause as much pain as possible. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the game. This is the rules. They need that. Negative forces need the loosh. They need you to be upset. They need you to be in pain. They don't want the awakening to go forward. They don't want you to learn the background energy of the universe is running on this stuff. But it is. It really is. You acknowledge the completeness within yourself. This is such an important point. Recognize that karma restores you back to completeness, and therefore it's not a bad thing ultimately. And you're learning that the Logos, Christ, is the maker of the universe, whatever you choose to call it, that there is a higher power, and you can align your thoughts with that with a prayerful, thankful attitude. This will give you incredible benefits. I guess I spelled incredible wrong. I was working really fast there. So I don't believe that negative events or catalysts are random. They're usually actually programmed. But at the same time, like I said, it's very intense and disruptive. Either way, the universe is hardwired for the positive. So let's end out today's show by giving you some reminders of this, about life forms and how they heal their own DNA. I've talked about this before, but this is something that I promised you when we were opening up the show. We got just a couple minutes left to do it. So we will talk about this now. And Barbara Kelly says, so glad to see you today. She donated $20. So this is great. So Dr. Robert Pruitt talked about this from the concept of the mustard weed. It's self-correcting, actually. There he is. In a startling discovery, geneticists at Purdue University say they found plants possessing a corrected version of a defective gene inherited from both their parents, as if there was a handy backup copy where the right version was found in the grandparents' generation or earlier. The finding implies that some organisms may contain a cryptic backup copy of their genome that bypasses usual mechanisms of heredity. If confirmed, it would represent an unprecedented exception to laws of inheritance discovered by Gregor Mendel in the 19th century. Equally surprising, the cryptic genome appears not to be made of DNA, standard hereditary material. So what is this actually saying? This is saying that plants are healing their own DNA. And they actually, mustard weed is programmed to no longer have the DNA to make itself look right, and it gets fixed anyway. This has also been done by Dr. Elliot Meyerowitz, and he said it looks like a marvelous discovery, a plant geneticist with California Institute, Caltech. Dr. David Haig, an evolutionary biologist at Harvard, described the finding as a really strange, unexpected result. It would be important if it holds up and applies widely in nature. So here's Dr. David Haig. So let's go into the details now. What are they talking about? Dr. Pruitt and Dr. Lowell were trying to understand the genes that control the plant's outer skin or cuticle. As part of the project, they were studying plants with a mutated gene that made the plant's petals and other floral organs clump together. Because each of the plant's 2 copies of the gene were in mutated form, they had virtually no chance of having normal offspring. But up to 10% of the plant's offspring kept reverting back to normal. So the DNA is gone, the DNA doesn't exist, and the plant is all mutated and looks all weird, but then it heals itself anyway? Yes. This is the power of the universe. This is the power of the positive. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is locked up in a certain way. When the researchers analyzed the mutated gene known as hothead or HTH, they found it had changed, and mutated DNA units had changed back into normal frickin' form. Wow. So this is the mutated version of the mustard weed, which again, so many things have been made from mustard: broccoli, Brussels sprouts, broccolini. Lots of different vegetables that we know and love are all, using this very similar DNA with just subtle modifications. You can take the DNA out that, and cause this crazy mutation, but up to 10% of them, they then revert back to the way that they should be. And so they say this finding poses a puzzle for evolutionary theory because it corrects mutations, which evolution depends upon as generators of novelty. So there you go. We also possess this same self-healing quality. This is not just something that happens out of nowhere. A flasher daddy. Yes, I probably flashed some of these trolls in another lifetime. Cruciferous vegetables like the Christ, Midnight Mark. Yeah, good point. Wow, I love all this information. Yeah, so I think we don't have to go through all of them right now. Maybe we'll go through one more. But so this was from the scientist. Mendel upended how the behavior of an Arabidopsis gene could overturn the classical laws of genetics. She found out a mutant Arabidopsis plant could fix itself. So think about the fact that this is actually happening in the universe, that this is actually happening in biology. It's really quite interesting. Same thing happens with the Drosophila fruit fly. After 5 generations, it will restore missing eyes. You can change the DNA, take out the DNA that makes eyes. They did this deliberately. They created deliberate mutations. And this is tuning mutations formerly called homoeotic mutations. I can't imagine why they had to change that name. Homoeotic. That doesn't sound like anything else, does it? Tramon would love that. The animal most used in the investigations is Drosophila, the fruit fly. A whole range of these mutations have been found, producing monstrosities. Antennapedia leads to antenna being transformed into legs. They produce legs instead of antenna out of their heads. Another mutation has the second of 3 pairs of legs into antenna. Normal flies have 1 pair of wings. The segment behind the wings, small bouncing organs called halteres. Still another mutation leads to transformation of the segment normally bearing halteres into a duplicate of the first. So these flies have 4 wings instead of 2, called bithorax mutants. So this is the most frequently studied insect in science. You take a single fertilized cell, forming the embryo. You remove all the DNA that makes the eyes. And the fruit fly is then born without eyes. But you breed it with other fruit flies who also have no eyes. No matter how many times they do this or what they do, after no more than 5 generations, the eyes are automatically replaced, and it never takes more than 5 generations, or all these other mutations we were just talking about. Same thing. Nothing you do to the Drosophila can change it, and it's studied in labs because, again, just like the mustard weed, it's one of the simplest organisms available for the laboratory researcher. And yet, it changes. So if you're focused on the negative, if you think that, oh my gosh, nothing's ever going to change, this goes back into mind-body studies, the placebo effect. Why do these things actually work? Again, the power of the positive is that powerful. You can heal and change your own DNA. This is phenomenal research. It really actually demonstrates this. All of these mutations depend on single genes. I propose that somehow the single gene mutations are changing the tuning of part of the embryonic tissue so it tunes into a different morphic field. This is Sheldrake than it normally does, Rupert Sheldrake. A different set of structures arise, just like tuning into a different channel on television. That's right. So look at the eyes again. Your thoughts and your spoken word literally rewrite your genetics. So this is very, very powerful stuff. Very, very powerful medicine, and there are other examples which we'll go through in future shows, but that's good enough right now. We got 2 of them. So let me just do this real quick. Let me just see what else we got here. All right, hang on a second, everybody. Let me just see what else we got. So yes, I do believe that this power exists within you, and therefore the power of the positive cannot be undermined. Why do certain people heal from these mysterious problems that medical science has written them off? How do these miracle healings occur? It comes through the power of the positive. Donald Barker donated, said, this is so true. I do appreciate honor, glory, and power. Honor is what we think, glory is what we speak, and power is the result of our words. All right. And I'm grateful that you were able to say that. So, anyway, the power of sound frequency on DNA. That's right. What has to be digested the most as paraglider life is that thoughts are the real energy that one works with and is the only energy that exists that changes matter energy. I'm going to help some people soon. It feels good, says Nish Paquette. Just the anticipation of helping. That's right. I interviewed Rupert Sheldrake once, classic interview. I did. Yeah, we had a really interesting, far-reaching discussion. So the positive focuses on creating value in life for others. That's really what we're doing. And so service to others, right? The law of one says the positive path is service to others. What does that really mean? Service to others is about creating value, just like I'm doing here. I mean, I could have said, you know what? I don't want to do a show. I'm too tired. I've been overwhelmed. I actually told my friend, I'm like, dude, I don't know if this is going to be a good show. I don't know if this week's show is going to be good or not. It's kind of I've talked about this stuff before. I've talked about this science before. I don't know how it's going to resonate with the audience. No, it actually ended up coming out very well. Did you guys like the show? Let's just hear in the comments. Do you think this was a good show? Well, it's certainly, I mean, what are we up to? $2,800 in donations. Let's see if we can get it up a little higher. Anybody still hasn't donated and wants to do? I'm just joking. But if you want to, that's fine. That'd be great. Oh my God. We had a troll come through there. Midnight Mark, you can knock that one. Somebody, there we go. Boom, he did it. I knew he would do it. We love to see you. Yes, yes. Everybody said it was a very good show. Heck yeah. See, I never know how many slides I'm going to get through, so I built a whole lot more than what we used. You guys say, yes, more. I want more. Well, we can only go for about 3.5 hours. That's supposed to be a good cutoff point for us. And so we got 8 minutes left. This info is very timely, excellent. Yes, yes. Everybody is very, very happy. So the positive is service to others about creating value in life for others. And we also have guardian angels. So these positive ETs do exist. They're in all major religions. Buddha had contact. Jesus had contact with angels. This is all because one infinite creator manifested existence, multiple dimensional levels. This is not a question for these positive ETs, it's a fact. They already know the universal law. They want you to follow it. The battle for your soul is allowed to play out on Earth. Both sides have the right to present their viewpoints, and the rules allow you to be pitched by both sides. If you focus on the negative, then you will have more negativity in your life, just like Buddha said. If you focus on the positive, you'll have more positive in your life. and happiness will follow you as your shadow unshakable. Your future is determined by your own free will. That's the law of the universe. Oh my gosh. R.W. Phoenix donated $222, bumping us over the $3,000 mark. Here you go. Love your show. Namaste. Wow. Thank you very much. I guess it was a great show after all. And now, yep, it says it's over 3K, so that's incredible, you guys. You're giving me some money to survive with. I really appreciate that. And I got to practice the positive in my own life. You know, there's a great need for our deals to go through, and let's all just intend very positive energy around that we're going to get the deal, we're going to get this to work. There's some couple things happening right now that are very positive. Nice one, David. Your brain looks massive today, says Robert. Okay, fine. You got to get those planes. Remember that. Always, David, always. Anybody who didn't like this show is a negative Nancy. Well, I'm really glad at how it turned out, and we kept a good structure. We kept a good focus. And, next week I'll come up with a different topic, and I'll make that as good as I can. We'll keep on bringing you the best that we have to offer. So thank you very much. Let's start our global peace meditation so that we can get done within the right time frame. So here we go. Let's go for this. So I'm going to start here on the close-up shot. All right, so let's close your eyes. Put both feet flat on the floor. Take a nice deep breath now. Pramil, thank you for the donation. Let yourself feel at peace. Feel the flow of the positive energy of the universe as it moves through you now. Letting yourself breathe naturally and effortlessly. Breathing in to the glory of the tapestry of an infinite universe that is hardwired at the most fundamental level for love, for peace, tranquility, and contentment. Feel this universal power of creativity and service and love surging through you, healing DNA, healing your cells, lifting you up like never before, dissipating the strength of severe negative weather patterns, using this meditation effect, feeling all those areas of conflict in the world resolving, the stress alleviating, seeing how it all becomes whole and new like never before. We are so grateful for all these positive gifts that the universe gives us, the hardwiring of universal energy. And if any ads come up during this time, you just do not lose focus, but just hit skip and stay right in the flow with me now. We thank you, Father, Mother, God, for the glories of what you've shared with us, for the gift of our lives, the gift of positivity, the gift of the radiance that you have to give us when we understand that the field effects of the universe itself are built to harness the positive, to feel that flow moving through our bodies, to feel that flow moving through our lives, knowing that we are always in a place of pure consciousness, and that from that place we are actually healing the world, healing the free will of others who might want to do harm, helping them become more peaceful and positive themselves. We are so grateful for what you have shared with us, universe, for your positive teachings, your wisdom, your knowledge, your understandings. Dear Creator, we accept you, we love you, we love what you have done for us, we love what you have shared with us. We are so grateful for your design, your cosmic wisdom, the understandings that we are not alone. We thank you for the time that you have given us to be alive in this world, to share what we need to know with each other in a format like this, with 3,000 people watching live through almost the entire 3.5-hour show. It's incredible. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. Sending this healing energy of positivity and love to all those in need of prayer and healing in the world. Feeling that consciousness rising within us. Feeling the stillness, the resplendent glory that casts aside the negativity that seems so overwhelming, that revivifies us with the loving consciousness that has been scientifically proven. As we meditate, as we focus on this love, this positivity, this purity, we send out healing waves to others, and we renew the everlasting covenant with the divine. As I do these things, so shall you do them, and greater things, for I go unto my Father, Mother, God. And so it is. Amen. All right, now let's come on back into the room. It's so great. Thank you guys for being here. Wasn't this fun? We had a great time. People said they were very far out. No cigarettes, ham, fireworks, and bacon, the horror. Yeah, we didn't quite get into that one today, but anyway, let's see here. We got some donations came in. We had Pramila Kalaga, and we had D1061. You're keeping up the light for many of us. Keep up the great work. Jay Classer donated $10. Thank you very much. I love the folks donating, says Marna Eric. Thank you very much. What's new from the Alliance? Well, I think we're going to see a lot of things happening. And I think these scare events are vectoring in. So, disclosure is vectoring in. Disclosure opens up all kinds of interesting things. Shalom, shalom. Happy Hanukkah tonight, says David Savage. Absolutely. Midnight Marks is standing by for next Sunday. Yep, I'm going to have to find a way to get that out because, we're going into another big, crazy week of wind. But it shouldn't be as bad as the last one. I'll check on the forecast again. We'll see how it's going. But anyway, you guys are incredible. I'm so happy that we were here today. So happy we were able to share some time with each other. And it ended up being a great show. I mean, I don't know how I do it. If I'd gone through some of the later slides, they weren't quite as good. But, we focused on the stuff that really matters. I just never know how long it's going to take to get through this. I want to always be over-prepared. But I focused on composition, and it ended up being great. We ended up having a great show. Tommy Daydream says, thank you, David. Jackie Baby, thank you, David. Great show today. Already looking forward to next week. That is awesome. I wished upon a star Thursday night and came true, says Skybird. God, please be with us, protect us, guide us, allow us to live life in love and truth with each other to make this world a better place. Thank you, God. They're rolling in right now. The comments are literally rolling in. And Valerianne Gritto says, email sent, great meditation. Oh, thank you. Stay strong and safer. Thank you very much for the donation. Thank you, David, says Johnny J2B, for all your time, effort, and energy, brother. Go Stavati. Yes. Stavati is on the verge of some very big things, and I hope that they hit because I really need them to. And if not, then, there's not a whole lot of other options. So we really need these things to work. So please, again, pray for the health of my company, for Stavati. We have some very good things happening, and I think they will. And I'm intending that right now. The Schrodinger's cat, right? It's a cruel metaphor, but the cat is alive, man. The cat is alive. And I really hope that's the case. So spectacular content, David. Thank you, says M. Repic. I really appreciate your meditation, says Donald Barker. Love from Greece, says Eugenia Aplaki. Awesome show, says Awakened Light Warrior. I pray for corporations, a lot of them, says Fernambulax. Stellar show, David. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Christopher F. Thank you, David. Love and light from New Zealand. Ask the Lord to fill you with light so you may lead others through the darkness. Absolutely. Thank you guys very much. Thank you, David, for all you prepare and share from Marine in Ireland. I've been following you for years and years. MK Lotus says, great show. And thank you guys so much. So anyway, we're good here. We will see you on the next show, hopefully next Sunday, as long as I don't get waylaid by the wind. Thank you guys so much. And we will catch you on the next pass. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.